It's 5:33. I'm going to call the meeting to order for our ZBA meeting. Roll call.
Sorry. I don't have my sheet with me. I'm so sorry. Miller?
Here.
McAlexander?
Here.
Deroni?
Here.
Howard?
Here.
Sheehan?
Here.
Hegman?
Here.
Blackburn?
Thank you. I would like to ask for a motion for approval of the agenda.
So move.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Next is the approval of the July 28th, 2025 meeting minutes. Is there a motion?
Also move.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Next is public comment for items not on the published agenda. Seeing none, I am going to, we're going to continue the public hearing for case 2025-01, which is 30850 and 30900 Telegraph. And this is a continuation from July 28th, 2025. Is there anybody here to present on that case number?
Wow.
Seeing none, I'm going to close the public hearing at 5:34.
First, ask if there's any members of the public who would like to say anything.
Are there any members of the public that would like to say anything?
What just happened?
Okay, close the public hearing
State the time for.
at 5:35.
There's this guy on
And
the
would
agenda.
you like to say something?
Yes,
I saw the audience.
members of the BZA, I was in communication with the attorney, Richard Rassel, one day last week and late this afternoon. The dealings that are happening between Market Fresh, as you know, and the seller may be having some issues. He's not the representative attorney for the deal, so he was kind of in the dark, frankly. He is requesting that the application and this matter be tabled at this time. Tabling means that we don't know when we're bringing it back. So if something is postponed to a date certain, we know it's postponed to a date certain, or adjourned. We can sometimes make it one meeting. The phrase tabled means it's going to sit on a shelf. It may come off the shelf. It may never come off the shelf. We don't know. You could make a motion to that effect, or accept that they're not here and you take no action. But I would recommend you take the action of making a motion to table the application that's been presented and take no further action until which time it's taken off the table.
Did they say what the issues were?
He does not know. He does not know because he's not the attorney for that particular deal. I can tell you that Mr. Rassel felt very badly. Even if I had known earlier in the day or even Friday, it wouldn't have mattered because the public notice had already been given properly. So we couldn't change the time and agenda in case members of the public were here to address this. But he did feel very badly. The second he had certainty, he was calling me, and we played phone tag most of the day today. So he extends his apology because he knows everyone is here early. He's a little frustrated too between us and this public record.
Would anyone?
I'll make a motion that we table this matter until the owners are ready to move forward in their presentation to council.
So that
I'll
would be
second.
case 2025-01.
Thank you. I don't have that in front of me.
And if I may, just so the BZA is aware that the Planning Commission is looking at your ordinance along with your planner and input from myself and my office as to a potential change in the zoning ordinance, looking at that corner and how hard it is to develop and what kind of developments you may be interested or not, and how to narrowly create the language to make it be in the village's best interest. And we're working on that, and so your planning commission is looking at that now. And I think they looked at it at their last meeting, and it was favorably received. It's been fine-tuned and tweaked even a little bit more. And then, as you know, if they do make the recommendation to change the zoning ordinance, that comes back to the council to determine if that's appropriate, and if you like the exact language of the ordinance and the potential use for that corner.
Mary, you mentioned at the last meeting, right as the public hearing was being closed, that considering a use variance or variances in general is, something that needs to be considered extremely seriously.
Yes.
And I understand that, obviously. But is there anything else other than what you're referring to that we need to be considering in this case? That the planning commission is looking at it, the lawyers are looking at it, you're working on language to make it right, so when it gets to council, I guess it can have a way to vote on it, that everybody's agreeing, all the due diligence has been done. I mean, is that the extent of kind of the comment you were making? Because I thought a lot of it about that.
We have a motion on the table. I would like to get a second.
Oh, gosh, you're right. We'd go back to that
We did have a
discussion.
motion in a second, we didn't have a vote yet.
That's it, thank
Okay.
you. That's my fault, I apologize, but happy to come back to that if the
That's
chair
okay.
allows.
Yes, we have a discussion next, so we might as well put that there.
Yeah.
So we have a motion, a second.
Yeah.
Any further discussion about tabling? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
Good job,
Thank you.
good job reining us in. Darn lawyers and their blabbering. Did I mean anything further by that? No, I did not. I think what's really important, since we do have time for discussion, in your role as BZA, when you make determinations, I'm not talking as much about interpreting language right now as I am about granting or denying a variance. The most important thing you can do is create a record as to why you're granting a variance or denying a variance, be a use variance or a dimensional variance or any other kind of variance. And as we talked about briefly, you have the different elements in the ordinance, and this is true of state law too, which is where this is all conferred, where you have to show practical difficulty. And practical difficulty has to contain all 5 parts or 6 parts. Is it 5 or 6 in your ordinance? Some have 5, some have 6. The state law has 5. You have to be able to, as the applicant, show each and every one of those. But as a BZA member, if you were going to be making the motion to deny or grant a variance, is to articulate your findings and why you're making the motion for each and every decision you make. And then that has to be done consistently every single time, so that if it's challenged in court, an appeal is one thing, and that's okay, that's not the end of the world. But when you're actually sued because you were denied or granted, that's where this becomes gravely important, to show that you're consistent on every single decision. And I have to tell you, it's challenging, and most boards frankly fail at that, and it's so important. And one of the things I've done for other clients that I'm going to do for you guys as well, because I know you're somewhat new to the board or this board working together, I've laminated cards with highlighting of what these things are. So when you go to make your motion, it's very easy to say, I find that this was not self-created. Let's say the topography of a certain parcel is such that they can't possibly work within the confines of the ordinance and still enjoy their property. And there's a fine line between enjoying your property and staying within the confines of the ordinance. So I'm going to make one, remind me, I'll make those and send them to you and have them laminated, and you keep them with you, and every time you make a motion, if you go through it, and it's laborious and it's a long record, but if you do it each and every time, and you justify your motion and decision, you guys are going to be in great shape.
That was extremely helpful.
Yes,
Good,
I
good.
agree.
Yes.
The more detail, the better.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Is there any other questions, since we have a little time regarding discussions like this, that if it's
We do
okay with the
have
chair?
another case if you want to sit on that one.
Okay. If you want to work through that other case and we see how that goes?
Sure.
We have a little cheat sheet for the practical
Yes,
difficulties
over
right
there.
there. I don't know.
Oh,
I don't know if you can
okay.
see it, Mary, but
Oh, let's see it.
Could I don't know if we could see it in the back,
I was
but
expecting much
could-
more of a crowd. so
Yeah,
I
could
can
you
do
put
one
it
of
back?
these.
over there?
Maybe later, we'll see.
We can move it after the ZBA.
Yeah.
Or you can put it up on the board, which is where I think it used to be.
And this
I
is,
just
this
didn't want
is,
it falling on Kathy back then.
this is straight out of your ordinance? Okay.
The next case is specifically a non-use
And this-
variance, that's why
is-
I'm using this.
Is this mirrored out of your ordinance, or is this paraphrased?
I want to say it's somewhat paraphrased because I wasn't around when those were made.
Okay, so note to myself that I'm gonna take.
These
a
were
look at that.
inherited by the office.
If you don't mind, I'm just gonna take a picture of that.
Of course.
Mhm.
Compare it to your
Please.
ordinance and make
Please.
sure we're doing the best we can. And if
Please.
this is it, this is great. If it's not, we're gonna make it better.
As long as you're taking pictures,
Okay.
let me know
Did
when
you
you're done with
wanna-
that one.
do you
Well,
wanna-
hold on. I got
Did
a
you wanna
second one.
pose?
I know, that's
I got a second one for that.
You guys are having wait. Oh, okay.
Because that's more for a use variance that we had set up, and then that one's for non-use. That's kind of like the cheat sheet we've used for the ZBA in the past, so that you don't have to dig through the full text of the ordinance while sitting here.
Yeah, okay. That one I think is
Yeah.
probably a
Obviously,
little
we're
light.
open to corrections, because I know
What's
these
that,
boards have
corrections?
seen quite a few years now.
I don't want to say corrections, I think every tool we have in our toolbox to make things as consistent and clear for every person in all situations is perfect. So, thank you. I'll compare that and see if we're doing good.
Okay, so we are going to move on to case 2025-02, which is 30360 Bristol Lane. We have the applicant that's here to do a presentation, so welcome. Name and address, please.
Thank you. Justin Zakoff, 3060 Bristol Lane. I was hoping to not have to be the guinea pig on this. So, we can go back to Market Square if you want.
Sorry.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm Justin Zakoff. My wife and I and our three boys, 8, 6, and 4, are looking forward to moving to the neighborhood imminently. We've been engaged in quite a lengthy renovation project of our house on Bristol Lane over the past 18 months or so. And we're starting to come down to the landscaping, and that's the reason I'm here. And I'm not sure, stop me if you think I'm going too long, or if I'm gonna try to go.
We've got time.
Okay. Well, I don't know that everyone wants to talk
I just
about
need to
this.
have time for the public hearing.
Yeah. I don't know that
And then
everyone
our
wants to talk
discussion.
about this for an
So-
hour and a half.
No,
so-
go ahead.
So I assume the packets, my application packet is with everybody. So what I'm requesting is a enclosure around a raised garden bed. The raised gardens were approved previously by the Planning Commission last month or the month prior. And so what we're requesting is a 6-foot enclosure. And I have pictures of the proposed material. It's black, it's PVC, it's very discreet, especially from a distance. The placement of it is behind the primary building setback, so it's beyond 100 feet from the street. It's beyond 25 feet from the side property line. And that's the gist of the request. I'll cover a few of the reasons why. Now, I'm not sure, I was following the application, so I'm not sure I answered 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I think I followed the application of 1, 2, 3, 4. But I'll cover properties unique to the area. So this house that we renovated is built over 280 feet back from the street, nearly 300 feet from the street, where the setback line is 100 feet. And so the front yard is almost double the size of the rear yard. And so we are trying to take advantage as much as possible of the entire property. I put a picture of what the property looked like before. I gotta be very careful here because it was my aunt's house, so I don't want to say anything bad about it. It was a beautiful house before. We're just trying to improve it. But the property before was the front yard was just all grass. Very, very little landscaping. So we're bringing in a significant amount of landscaping. We're trying to do something. We're trying to be allowed to do something in the front yard that is other than just planting grass or putting it in a dog run. We don't have a dog. So other than planting grass and landscape, we're trying to take full advantage of the property. And I think this house is unique in that it is built so far back from the street. The garden proposed is similar to others in the area, including some in the front yard. I put a few sample pictures. I didn't put a lot of pictures. I'm not trying to. Yes, ma'am.
I'm just, sorry to interrupt. Is his application packet online? I did not get it.
It's in the packet.
It's in the-
I-
yeah.
I-
In the ZBD packet, it's right there.
Yeah. You know what? I copied the meeting, I didn't copy that. Okay, thank you. Sorry.
Pause for a
I'm sorry,
minute, that's
Justin.
okay.
No,
Fine.
Justin, go ahead.
Okay.
Okay.
No problem. And sorry, it's my first ZBA application presentation.
You're great.
So I put a couple pictures of other gardens that are enclosed in the front yard. Ours are going to be similar. There's a lot more of these in the village. I did not want to take a lot of pictures and put anything out there that shouldn't be in a public hearing. But we're going to do something very similar. We're going to skip the top wooden rail, so it should just be very, very minimal, especially once all the landscape gets installed. Strict compliance would prevent a use for permitted purposes. Planning Commission has approved the ornamental raised garden beds. There's, as everyone I'm sure knows better than me, since I don't live here yet, there's numerous deer in the area. I'll say we had 65 trees delivered yesterday, Thursday, and we've already had a deer nipping at them. I gotta get you my list of,
Yeah. That's
just for the backyard, those trees. So the deer are everywhere. My wife, who couldn't make it tonight, is a big gardener, and she would speak more to this, but it's a whole family affair. My kids garden, we can tomatoes, all that stuff. And so I think that's not only, I'm not sure the legal terminology of a permitted purpose, but I think gardening is allowed in the village and it should be encouraged. I see my neighbors, that's how I've met some of my neighbors who garden in their enclosed garden beds. And so I think that's a quaintness that the village would appreciate. And so but unfortunately here, I don't think you can garden without some sort of enclosure or, I'm not sure, 24-hour armed security. And this is not due to me. I'm told I have not gone back to the minutes or anything, but since this was my aunt's house, I'm told that when the house was first built, the rules at the time actually required it to be built in the same setback position of where it was previously, whereas now it's 100 feet. And so this was not her decision to build it 300 feet back from the street, and it's certainly not nothing I did. So that's my general request. I could chime in more with thoughts, but I'll take questions.
Well, let me open the public hearing first.
Okay.
Go all the way back up to the top. I guess I don't need to do this. It is, what time is that?
Sir.
5:52. I'm gonna open the public hearing. Is there anybody here to address this property?
Kathy Hageman, 32671 Bingham Lane. I applaud the effort to do gardens. I have no problem with raised gardens. I'm rather interested in how many front yard gardens, raised gardens are along Bristol Lane, because in the north part of Bingham Farms, I don't recall seeing any. And I know the Planning Commission already granted permission for the raised beds, so now we're talking about surrounds. And personally, I would not, unfortunately, have agreed with the Planning Commission's decision, but that was their decision. I would ask that the ZBA seriously consider the impact of putting fences in the front yard, even around a garden bed. It's just, you know, how I feel about the village and the openness. And so I would just like you to take that into consideration. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else that would like to speak on this? Has anybody submitted any written comments on this?
Nope.
I am going to close the public hearing at 5:54 PM. No more comments will be accepted from the public. And now we will have, at this point, council will have an opportunity to discuss. If you have, sure. I would like to, yeah, if you could answer questions.
Happy to.
I would like to keep it, you know, somewhat general. Like we said, the planning commission has already approved the garden beds. And so what's being looked at here is, I would like to be careful about the language we use. It's not technically a fence, it's a garden enclosure. And so planning commission has been very clear about that moving forward, we are working on possibly coming up with language to present to council that will include garden enclosures as opposed to fence. They're in the planning commission's mind, it's two very different things. So I think it's important to remember that a lot of people these days are wanting to garden and grow their own food and be more healthy and enjoy that hobby. And in this village, it's impossible if you don't somehow protect those plants. So I would open it up to comments.
There's a reason, and that is because it's not part of the character of the village. This is not a farming community. I don't understand, first of all, whether it's a garden fence or a dog run or a pool fence, it's a barrier. And this has been sort of a barrier-free community since its inception. So it's still a barrier. Call it whatever you want to call it. He's coming to us because we've not allowed it. And tell me, Justin, why aren't you using the backyard?
The backyard, if you look at the full landscape plan, is significantly smaller than the front yard. And
But
so,
I'm looking, excuse me, if you looked at, this is your bed here. There's no dimension on that. What is the size of your bed?
There is another.
And those numbers are too small, I can't read them.
sorry. The dimension is 48 by 22.
Oh, so it's a good-sized one. But it seems as though it would fit nicely in your backyard.
The reason for the front yard proposal is that there's really no other use for the front yard other than pure landscape. In our property, in the unique circumstances of our property, the backyard is significantly smaller than the front yard. The front yard is almost double the size of the backyard. And so we're trying to take full use and enjoyment of the entirety of the property rather than jamming all sorts of stuff in. Early on in the development of this plan, we had actually talked to Ken. If you notice, I have a basketball court in the backyard. We had talked about, okay, can I put a basketball court in the front yard? Can't do that. There's a couple other things, there's a couple other things, and you can't do anything in the front yard, which is understandable to a degree. The only thing that you can do is put a dog run in the front yard. We don't have a dog, so we're requesting the ability to garden and use. I think it's if you looked at the property and you look at the plan, I think it's less than 1% of the total square footage of the property. It's a reasonable size. It's in a nice location. The backyard also has a significant amount of trees that we're wanting to maintain, and we're bringing in trees. we certainly could we clear more stuff and work with the landscape plan to clear more of an area to garden in the backyard? I mean, that could be a possibility. I would hate to do that.
Is this plan accurate in terms of what you have now?
Yes.
So there's a large open area that is not treed. I guess, and the other thing is to specify, 48 by 22 is big.
It's about 1,000 square feet, yes.
The other question is, where does that end? You know, we do have we have master gardeners in our community, and their gardens are absolutely amazing. And they are all in the back. They have smaller gardens in the front, but the back, they're growing. We have a man who was president of the National Lily Society. He's done hybrid lilies. He has deer fencing in the back, which is the soft fencing.
And is that permitted?
I don't know.
I'm asking you.
Yeah. Well, I don't know, but it's not in the front yard. It's in the backyard.
But there's some in the front yards as well.
No, it's not.
Yes, there are some though. in the
But not,
village.
But
not that
not
one.
mine.
Not that
Right.
one.
Yeah.
There are
And we
others.
have to make a decision about the character of the village, and it's not, like I said, it's not a farming community. It was never intended to be since it's been developed. I guess I'm just curious, if this was so important to you, you didn't find a property where there was no question, you know, and now you want...
I can appreciate
Yeah,
finding
and-
property is difficult, I'll tell you that.
Yeah,
So,
and then-
I wish I found one. Sure.
The other concern,
It's okay.
Justin, that the decision we make today, and you touched on this, is that it's going to open doors. And people are going to be pushing the limits. And if you can do that, then why can't I do this? And it's concerning. It's concerning. So-
One comment that I would just ask
Sure.
for your consideration is the fact that the proposal is still beyond the primary building setback. It's a significant distance away from the street. And yeah, if the house were built at that setback line, there's no question I would have had room and space in the backyard. I also would ask that if deer fencing itself is permissible even in the backyard, then I think I'm still here for this, is based on my understanding, is that no fencing is permissible in the village, regardless of where it's located. And so that would have been helpful, honestly, to know earlier. You know, I mean, the backyard, frankly, is already, we just put 65 trees on the ground in the backyard. It would have been helpful to know early on from the village that, no, you can't have a fence garden in the front yard, you can have it in the backyard.
But you'd have noted there aren't any.
I actually,
There are.
Pictures.
I included two
Those
pictures.
are small areas. What's the measurement?
I didn't go
Yeah,
to the property.
they're not 48 feet. They're smaller areas.
But, I mean, again, that's so subjective, like,
And my neighbor has them. They're from decades ago, and they're not doing anything with them, but they're still up. But they're in the backyard.
so if they're unsightly, because they're decades old, yet we have somebody who's dumped a very significant amount of money into this, and gonna make it look very nice. I mean,
Yeah.
if we're gonna talk about
If we have time, I'd
aesthetics,
welcome a field trip.
I mean,
Question.
again, you were told, there's no fencing.
Yeah.
But there's fencing everywhere in the
But you know,
village.
and this is
So-
the problem when you don't have any kind of oversight, is that things get done and they're not to code, and then you have to go back and say, you need to remove it.
Okay, that's a totally separate subject.
Yeah.
We're talking
Yeah,
about
but
this property
this is what
only.
happens when you don't have oversight. So I appreciate you're doing it the right way.
I've been in touch with Ken and the team
Yeah.
from even before I bought the property
Ooh.
on the rules. So
So you knew what they were?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Okay.
mean, absolutely.
All right.
I always knew, well, actually, at first, I was told out at the garden fencing that as long as I removed it, it was considered temporary, and I took it up and put
So-
it down, it would be permitted.
That's a question I have. So, two questions. What's in our ordinances? I haven't I'm reading through the ordinance of, actually not the ordinances, this is the site standards. There's nothing about front yard, backyard, so it doesn't matter where it is, we can't have fences other than pools and dog runs.
Right.
Right? In my past, there was an issue with one person, and there was discussion around temporary in the past. And they had to take it down because it wasn't temporary. But I don't see I can't find anything in here around temporary, so am I missing something? Is there any language around temporary or not?
It's a little bit wonky. Are you reading the code or the zoning ordinance?
The 5.4,
You're in the zoning ordinance. Okay, so if you go to the definition, this is the weird thing about that ordinance. There is the section you're reading that just says fencing is prohibited,
Right.
et cetera. If you go back to definitions and look under definition of fence, that's where we get into the meat of it. Under the
Okay.
definition of what constitutes a fence, it lists what things are excluded. And some of the things that are excluded are, I believe, garden enclosures and
It says garden wall.
garden wall.
is not a
And
fence.
I don't remember if it says anything about temporary in there because I don't have it in front
I
of me.
can read it.
Yeah, I got it.
Any
Yeah, so-
structure or man-made barrier comprised of any material other than vegetation with a generally open design and intended to enclose, screen, separate, mark the boundary of, or limit access to all or part of an area of land. The term fence shall exclude any courtyard enclosure, garden wall, requirement trash receptacle enclosure, requiring mechanical equipment enclosure, required parking lot screening, or similar structure integral to the design of a dwelling or the site plan for a non-residential building that complies with all principal building setbacks, is approved by the Planning Commission and for which a permit has been issued. Well, that's worded interestingly. That's a fence.
So garden enclosure is specifically,
It says
Garden wall.
courtyard
Garden
enclosure,
wall.
garden wall.
Wall, that word wall, that's right.
And a wall-
I'd be happy to make it a 6-foot brick wall. if That's what we want. I'm joking.
A wall is any structure, so it says a garden wall. A wall is any structure or man-made barrier comprised of any material other than vegetation with a generally solid design and intended to enclose, screen, separate, mark the boundary of, or limit access to or all part of an area of land. The term wall shall exclude any courtyard enclosure, garden wall, or required trash receptacle enclosure, same exact language.
Could this be considered a courtyard enclosure? I'm just asking.
but
It's not adjacent to the house.
I hear that a garden wall is okay.
A wall.
A
I have a
garden wall is
garden
permissible.
wall.
His wall is made out of some PVC-covered fencing.
This is why the planning commission went 4 hours. The
So,
language
so
is,
that's my other question.
right. We need
What
to
are
more
we-
define wall,
Yes,
enclosure,
correct.
fence.
So the language that we have in there today is interpretable and is hard to interpret, understand to all of us sitting here, including a lawyer and a homeowner. And so it's very difficult. And so the question is, so what are we here are deciding a variance from that which we can't fully comprehend.
So, would you like me to offer some guidance?
Yep.
So what you need to look at is this. So you have the zoning ordinance that says fences are only permitted for invisible fencing, dog runs, and
Pools.
Pool, thank you. However, there are things that are not thought of as fences that may be permitted. And I agree, it is very subjective and confusing. So what I would, if I were you, if I was a BZA member, I would focus on the 5 elements of practical difficulty. Is it difficult and impractical for this applicant to live within the confines of the limits of no fence unless it is those kinds of permitted fences? Is it practically difficult for him to live within this rule book? So you would go through strict compliant with this rule, fences aren't allowed. Is it unnecessarily burdensome or unreasonable, preventing him from using the property for this use? Is it unnecessarily unreasonable and burdensome? Those are subjective questions. If you answer that, no, it's not, you're done. You have to satisfy all 5. Then you would go to the next one. Let's say you say yes. The variance will do substantial justice to the applicant and other property owners. Okay, so if we say to him, it is too burdensome for you to live within the confines of this rule book, this will do substantial justice to you. Are we willing for it to do substantial justice to other property owners? And maybe other property owners like him would find this justice. And if you answer no, you don't think so, then you're done. And this is for each one of you to work out in your own mind. Number 3, a lesser variance than requested will not give substantial relief to the applicant or be consistent with justice to other property owners. Oftentimes when we look at a lesser variance, this is where, let's say, this is not true for this gentleman, but let's say, for instance, somebody wants to maybe put their property further in a setback and they want a variance of X number of feet. When you look at that, what you then try to understand is maybe you can't get relief in any other way. Like, let's say maybe the way the house is shaped or the topography, maybe there's a hill like this. That's where that would come into play. So a lesser variance. I don't think he has a lesser choice other than in number 3 can also live with conditions. We won't allow this variance, but we'll allow this variance because it seems lesser. All right, so let's say you answer yes to that, you move on. You answer no to that, you're done, right? Number 4, the need for the variance, the need to live without the rule regarding the fence is due to unique circumstances particular to this property. Is this property unique? Is the front yard just so big and the backyard so small that it renders him without
But the front
choices?
yard, backyard's not anywhere in here. So
No,
front yard,
there's nothing
backyard
to do
doesn't
with
matter.
it.
With the fence?
Yeah,
Okay.
nothing to do with it.
And then, is it going to be applicable to other properties in the same zoning district? Can everyone come in and get the same variance? Or do you find this ordinance, and this is where number 4 becomes important, do you find the ordinance so disfavorable that it's time to get a new ordinance? That's where
Yes.
number 4 comes in. Number 5, the problem and resulting need for the variance has not been self-created by the applicant or their predecessors. Is this something that the person created just because of the day, or they don't have a choice in this? And then some of those other, a house was built up on the side of a hill, and now in order to even modify the house a little bit, you need a variance, but you didn't self-create this problem. This is how the previous house was built. That's an example of how that one would come into play. So because this is not clear, and even if it was clear, you still have to go through the exercise of the analysis of all 5 elements. Does that help?
I'm sorry, okay.
Yeah, please.
I just, one thing, if you don't mind. Thank you, sir. For number 4, the front, my best intention, belief on the front yard distinction is that this house, the front yard is significantly bigger.
I understand that.
Yeah,
No, I completely understand that.
Yeah,
I'm
okay.
just
I just
looking
wanna make sure
for,
that it's-
from a, what
Yeah.
are we supposed to do from a legal perspective? So thank you for going through all of those, of what we have written, what's unclear, and then it becomes the desire and wants of the village, which we're here to advise and help.
Well, it's almost as though the ordinance would have to say that if your front yard is at least 200 feet from the road, then it's a consideration. I mean, you talked about being very specific about what you'll grant. If that's the stipulation, then anybody with less than a front yard of 200 feet can't have this. And we'd have to be able to substantiate that in a court if we were sued because of it.
And that's frankly up to the applicant. So it's up to the applicants, and I'm not picking on you. I'm trying to guide.
You're doing a good job because you make an argument in my favor.
I could, but I'd have a big conflict. And you'd have to pay me a lot. So this is where it's his job to say, let me go through these 5 things and convince you. Let me persuade you of each one of these. Because a lot of this is subjective, and it's not always an objective measure. Sometimes it's really easy. Sometimes it's not. And this one, I will agree, it's not. So the applicant maybe wants to go through all 5 and give your best arguments and persuasions, now that you've heard what I've just said.
I interrupted Trustee McAllister.
Thanks. I'd like to make a few comments based on my thought process of studying this. First of all, welcome to Bingham Farms. It sounds like, because it was your aunt, you know the village quite well, so
Yeah.
that's nice. And it's really nice to see younger people wanting to move here and raise families. So let me make a few comments. First of all, we're elected officials, and one of our primary duties is to uphold and enforce the ordinances. So we can have a discussion about the ordinances. I'm not sure if it's perfectly appropriate here about what they mean or what they don't mean, but that's one of our primary jobs. By the way, I grew up with massive gardens, and my memories of it aren't all so good. I'm glad you're teaching your children, because we canned and froze so that we could eat during the winter. But I garden to this day because of it, and I enjoy it. But the premise of your argument, for me, is threefold. First is deer. You know it because you've already said it. The deer are going to eat everything you put out, including not just your garden, but your trees, your flowers, your landscape, and everything else. But that's the character of Bingham Farms. I would argue that there's other ways to repel the deer other than fence. I have a raised garden, nowhere near as big as yours, but we've planted plants around it that the deer don't like, so it deters them from getting to the stuff the deer do like. We use a non-toxic natural spray that the deer don't like the scent of, so, and you can wash it off of your vegetables and herbs and things that you're going to plant. So that's one way to do it. We do it without a fence. It's not perfect, but it's a. The second premise was fairness, and I think it's really unfortunate that we're understanding tonight that there's others in the community that seem to have already put fences in place to protect their gardens. Maybe that's part of the argument, but the thing that's maybe missing from the argument is the people in the village that have been in your position right now, where the council has denied your variance. And I do know that that's occurred on certain occasions too. And occasions that I was questioning, why would they deny it except they were trying to live up to the ordinance. The last one was the uniqueness of the property. I understand what you're saying. It's going to be hard to declare your property so unique that, in my mind, that it deserves a special variance. I think that people like me, I mean, I might now say, well, the front yard gets better sunlight in my house. My house sits back 210 feet from the road. And I can put a fence around it and not have to worry about the deer anymore. I probably won't do that because I don't want to garden out front. I want to garden out back where I can be in my pajamas if I want to. But it's going to cause people to consider doing that. So I think all these things are things that I thought through, knowing again that we take an oath to enforce the ordinances. So I'm not sure how we would approve the variance request based on the way the ordinance is written. Now, we can have that discussion separately or now, but the other thing I thought of, you're planting a garden, and we're almost into the fall time of year, so you're probably not going to be planting a garden until springtime. So I'm not even sure what the urgency of the request for approval is today. Lisa said something I wasn't aware of. There's already a study going on to make the ordinance clearer. Maybe if we can wait till that ordinance is clear, that we could have a conversation with you that might work well for you and work well for the village to say, we're enforcing the ordinances as we've defined them now. That's just an idea. But Again, I don't know what the urgency is, if you're willing to consider that, or if the village council is willing to consider that.
I would just say I have contractors
Yeah.
actively on site. That's really the urgency. We can't, they're finishing the backyard right now, trees in the ground, sprinklers on Wednesday, grass shortly thereafter. They're gonna move on to the front yard, and, how they grade out the front yard is gonna make a
Well,
difference.
I think you've already, again, correct me if I'm wrong, it sounds like you've already got approval to, but I think the ordinance was under ornamental landscape features, something like that.
Yes, sir.
So you didn't have to come to us for that approval, you've already got the approval to put it out front, I think.
Yes, sir.
So I think the thing you're waiting on is approval just to put the fencing around,
Right.
which I don't think would be, again, it's up to you, it's your property.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, I
But
have
think it'd be a big deal
contractors
to
on
have
site,
it
you
done
know.
by, no.
It's-
Okay. Anyway, those are my thoughts.
Okay, appreciate those.
My feeling is, I looked at your backyard, and I have done canning on a half an acre of property up in Farwell. So I know what it's like to have a big plot of property to have to put in the freezer. Yours is going to be way more than what you need to feed your family.
Okay.
Way more than what you need.
Okay.
And so I could see you doing perfectly well with half, if not even more, the size of that garden. Have you considered the size that you're really requesting, which it stands out? It's like a billboard.
Yes. I guess I would disagree that it stands out. It might look like it stands out when you look at an aerial view of it, but the area is less than 1% of the entire lot.
I understand that, but it's still big.
Right. Grass, I think, would stand out. A big empty spot would stand out more as, yeah, I mean, I understand what you're saying. I laughed a little bit. My wife and I have talked in depth about the size of the garden. It started off as triple the size. And I said, Melinda, we're not
Do you have a tractor?
feeding. Yeah, we don't have a tractor. We're not feeding in R&B.
Yeah.
And so this is about with the raised garden beds. It's about the same size we currently garden. The same plantable area. Don't tell my wife if this is being recorded. It's
It is.
slightly smaller than
It is being
our current planted.
I just have a problem with 6-foot-tall black plastic fencing in the front yard. I would not want that in my yard or my neighbor's yard. And I always,
It's a metal fencing.
it's not
that's-
PVC?
It's coated black, so it doesn't look like a chain link metal fence.
Yeah.
It's coated black, so it really is. I put a picture of what it looks like from 20 feet away. It's
You can barely
nearly
see it.
invisible from
It's
20
nearly
feet away.
My biggest fear is opening opportunities for people to interpret issues. And again, we work very hard to keep this village, the character that we've developed. And which is why, we don't have houses for sale. We don't have even the condos. We don't have any condos for sale. So, it's, people like it the way it is. I think the message is that they're sending is, we want to keep it that way. And this is not part of maintaining, I think, the character that we've developed. Just, again, my own
Yeah.
opinion.
I'll be honest, it's disappointing.
Mhm.
It's really disappointing more than anything, given that, we really thought this was a non-issue, given the language of the garden wall, originally thinking it could be a temporary basis, fine, and then seeing even not to put anyone on the spot, but even some of our nearest neighbors having very similar enclosures. And so it's disappointing to hear that.
Well,
Well-
go ahead.
Well, so the planning commission has already heard and discussed, and at least once, right? And going through discussions about this, and somewhat to Eric's point of that may solve and clarify things without needing to do a variance. And I understand your timeliness of doing it,
Yeah.
but there's also the interpretation of temporary, if things are removable and temporary, you can put up the beds are okayed and that, all the structures and everything. And if the only thing we're talking about is the PVC coated metal fencing, it's installed temporarily to be able to take down if the planning commission doesn't clarify that it can or can't be done. And if they clarify that, yeah, all garden fencing has to come down,
Then it all comes down.
then it all comes down, because that's what I do with mine. I
Yeah.
have the same PVC fencing 4 feet high around my garden, and I take all of it down every fall just because I don't want to see it in my yard.
And I'm here because the planner, don't correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe the planner, there is no exception for temporary fencing. And so if that's,
There's no language.
if you guys made an interpretation that temporary fencing is okay,
Well, and I
I'm good. That's no
Well,
problem.
I think the neighborhoods have interpreted that maybe, and maybe that's
I
where
was
they
gonna
came
say,
from.
Yours would be, if this doesn't get approved, you will no longer have yours either,
Correct.
Yeah.
right? And there will be no hockey rinks put up in the winter.
Well, you can have a hockey rink, you just can't have the, you can't
No,
have the
there's
walls
walls.
around it.
They all have walls.
No, they don't.
Most
No,
of them
no, they
have
don't.
walls. Most
The
of
ones
them
we put
are
up do
closed.
not have.
Well,
Yeah, they're just
There's
slabs.
at least a small wall there.
No.
Yeah.
Okay.
What we do is we just, it's not a wall, it's about 8 inches.
Who's we?
My son and I.
Okay, so I'm talking about other people other than you.
Yeah.
There's some that have full-on back glass.
Oh, yeah.
And
You
all
can
of
spend
that.
thousands.
And none of
thousands
that.
on it.
We
We
don't
don't
have to
do
tell
that.
those people no more.
right.
Well, it's not punitive, Lisa. That's following the ordinances. You talk as though if we say no, then we're punishing people. No, we're observing what we have all lived with for almost 50 years in Bingham Farms. That's not punitive. That's respecting.
It depends who you're respecting. Are you respecting the new residents?
No, we're respecting the ordinances, the village.
Okay, so here's another thing to throw out. When people plant new trees, can they put fencing
Screening.
around those trees? So if somebody spends $100,000 on landscaping,
Mhm.
can they put fencing around the trees so that the deer don't destroy them?
Until they grow. We're talking about it, I don't know.
So it's
We have to make a
we're
decision.
talking- we're
If you
talking-
want to say
It's
no, say
temporary
no.
fencing. It's
But we're
all
talking about-
temporary
we're talking
fencing.
about-
Jesus.
To me, we're getting way
Yeah.
off track in the weeds of what an ordinance may or may not look like in the future. I can tell you, back to the deer, the fences, everything else, I've never put them up because they're not aligned with the ordinance. I probably spend every year $2,000-3,000 on treatments to try to keep the deer out of my yard. I still get the tomatoes eaten from time to time. We have probably redone the landscape in the 20 years we've been here 4 times to rip out the stuff that the deer eat and try to put in stuff that the deer won't eat. So this does have a big impact. It'll have a big impact on, which gets back to, if we're working on ordinances, this is probably the right, I'm not sure it's the right discussion here, it's the right discussion somewhere as we work on ordinances. Because my temptation could be to fence off my entire property with fencing like that, to keep the deer out of my property, and to save me thousands and thousands of dollars a year in landscaping.
May I ask a question? How far the planning commission is in its discussion of looking at the fencing ordinance?
Exactly where we are.
They're still discussing the language because at the most recent meeting, so this is, I've been meaning to find a good spot to chime in with this context for everybody here. They're still definitely in the discussion. There's no public hearing even set for this yet, mostly because we were trying to really get guidance from the Planning Commission for both our attorney and our planning consultant for what exactly are we looking to change in the fencing ordinance, if anything. Right now, it seems like the Planning Commission's leaning more towards we're not looking to allow property fencing,
Right.
like permanent fencing, whether it's decorative or privacy or what have you. The consideration that's mostly being discussed is definitely clearing up and tidying up the definitions so that we don't have these vague terms that are difficult to interpret, which is why we're here right now, and to also tidy up the definitions and the guidance around things like garden enclosures, garden fencing, again, with the things that Lisa's referring to. If somebody because if we're saying absolutely no fencing of any kind, permanent, temporary, garden, not garden, if we're saying none of it is allowed, that's fine, but that means that if Mr. Zakoff can't have it, that means people that already have put up front yard fencing can't have it, we gotta ask them to take it down. That means if somebody plants new tree saplings, they can't put up that temporary netting around it to protect it from deer. And if there are hundreds of thousands of dollars spent on landscaping, go down the drain because the deer eat those trees, well, village doesn't get new trees and
So if
they're out, you know, so those are the things that they're working on. So point is, they're still at least 2 months out from having an official public hearing.
So the reason I'm asking is generally it's the rule, I believe it's part of the Zoning Enabling Act, but I cannot tell you the section. Once an applicant applies for a variance, and if the variance is denied, you can't apply again for a year.
That's the concern.
So your point is really well taken, and just to throw out some thoughts and ideas is you may want to consider measuring of 7 votes. Do you think you have 4 yays or nays? And then you may want to consider maybe if you want to request tabling your application as you wait to see what happens with the zoning ordinance. As this trustee has pointed out, it may resolve your problem. Or not, but it may.
Yeah.
And
Well, we
that's a
would
call
still have-
you would have to make unless you don't want to do that, and then they'll have to go to a vote.
Yeah.
But whatever the planning commission decides, we would still have to review that and approve it.
Yes.
Correct. Planning Commission does not approve or deny changes to the ordinance. They recommend them to the council to approve or deny.
And if I may, then one of the things too that we're talking about here is all fencing. Well, let's divide it. What goes on in the backyard versus what goes on in the front yard? And I think that's one of the things that you were bringing up and I have seen. And that, to me, it's more, what do we see? We see front yards. We don't see backyards. We know that there are a number of hockey rinks that are in the backyard with fencing around them. I think, I haven't seen them. Obviously swimming pools and so forth. That being the case, then maybe Planning Commission then has to think about, again, what goes on in the front yard versus what goes on in the backyard. My biggest concern on this is we're putting a garden in the front yard. And just to kind of give you an idea of the size of this, you're a little over 1,000 square feet. This room is 406 square feet. 408 square feet. It's more than twice the size of this room for the garden. That's
big.
That's big. And I don't, and again, one of the other things we were talking about, temporary fencing versus regular fencing. And I think, again, I put 2 trees in my front yard. I've got temporary fencing till they get tall enough. A deer can't touch them, boom, that comes out. So maybe Planning Commission needs to then maybe really get into the minutia on this. Okay, if we're going to talk about fencing, okay, what kind of fencing, and then where can that fencing be? My biggest concern is, and I see a couple of these things, and the problem resulting in variance is not been self-created. It is self-created. The need for variance due to lights in the way, circumstances particular to the property. Well, as far as we're concerned, there's plenty of room in the backyard versus the front yard to put this in. Lesser variance requested, we could make it smaller, but it's still in the front yard. The variance to substantial justice to the applicant and other property owners, could go one way or the other. Circumstance to be unnecessary burden and unreasonable to prevent the owner from using the property. Well, that could probably be a yes, but a couple of them I would have to say it's been self-created, and is it a variance to unique particular circumstances? I would have to vote no on both of those. So again, I can give you an idea of where I am.
let me just tell you from the planning commission, we did talk about front yard, backyard. Like this could be a year before this gets done, based on the conversations that were had at planning commission. So, we talked about backyard, front yard, we talked about just no fences, trying to more narrowly define garden enclosures, garden walls. All of this has been, we were talked for hours. And part of the problem is, we want people to plant trees, like you're saying, put it in the backyard. Well, then he's gonna cut trees down. And then people are gonna be on you for cutting trees down. Like, here you can plant the trees accordingly in the front yard so that there are trees, but they're not gonna inhibit the garden. Or you go to the backyard and cut trees down. Is same as, the fencing around. Like technically you should be taking your fencing down, right? So do we want people to plant trees, all about the character, the nature, all of that? You can't do that here if you don't protect that.
Yeah, and that's
So
why I
anybody
think
planting
that-
a tree who does not have a fence or some sort of enclosure around it, your tree is gonna be decimated.
Yeah.
And so if we allow that, and then the question is temporary. Like, we need to define temporary, so that's gonna be a whole nother avenue. What's temporary? Is it 2 months, 2 weeks,
Yeah.
6 months?
Sounds to me
till
like
the
the
tree
planning
is-
commission's got a lot to do.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. This could be a year
Yeah.
before this even
So maybe
comes
this
before
needs to be
council.
tabled then.
That would be up to the applicant.
Even
Yes,
after a
that's up to
year,
the
I don't think you're
applicant.
gonna get the language that's gonna
It's-
encompass
It's
1,000
very, very
different
difficult.
variables
Right.
that come into play on every different piece of property, front yard, backyard. It's just impossible to.
Right, and then somebody's on a
think of.
corner, so then you can see their backyard. There's so many different avenues.
Is some discussion about dog runs are permissible. What's the definition of a dog run?
It's actually in there.
We have a definition of it, again.
Is this a dog run that we can call it? Is-
I know that this is more square footage than what we allow for dog runs.
Yeah.
But I think
sure.
I can have
Smaller one?
multiple dog runs.
a dog run that
I'd have to reread that to be sure, but.
You can break it up, do multiple sections.
It does define it, that the dog run enclosures for containment of no more than 2 domestic animals are allowed, provided none violates the required setbacks nor the property line, doesn't exceed 250 square foot in area, not more than 4 feet in height from grade.
So if this was a smaller thing with a 4-foot fence and called it a dog run, it would be allowed?
If it were for no more than 2 dogs,
0.
Yeah.
Hey, I like what you're thinking, 0 dogs, no more.
In anticipation of a potential dog.
We had dog shower we put in, so.
That's
So-
tricking an ordinance.
I don't remember what the dog run ordinance says about front yard versus backyard either.
It doesn't say.
No, okay.
So again, I think, you'll get to make the decision, but I do think that you see the complication of all of this. And if this is denied, we will be going through the village and making some people very, very, very unhappy. You see automatic fences, security fences, gates, all
So-
of that will go.
So that's a question. So number 2 is around justice to the applicant and to other property owners. So if this variance, I can read it both ways. If this variance is approved, it's approving anybody to do a similar, his is specific to his property, his yard, his design.
His
How does
use.
it apply, his use?
Yeah.
And how does that apply to other property owners? And then the other side of that, which is if this is denied, it's denying his application for a variance for this reason for his property. And I don't quite understand how this goes to other property owners.
It would only pertain to this.
But if we're gonna say that we're upholding our ordinance to the strictest measure of the law, we will be going through the village and telling everybody to get rid of their fence.
But there's 2 sides of that argument. If that's the case, then the other side of the argument is if we approve this, and now everybody has fences wherever they want.
But that's what
Yeah.
planning commission is looking at, trying to thread the needle
Yeah.
so that we don't have people putting chain link fences or any sort of fences all the way around their yard, which, by the way, we already have somebody who has a chain link fence around the front of their house and both
And
sides.
I know it's,
That would have to come
I
out as
accept
well.
that it's really difficult, but until there's an ordinance that we can all say, this makes sense for the village, I don't see the wiggle room that allows us to
Yeah.
approve something. And I can tell you, there's people that have had their variances denied that may be back wanting
Yes.
to do what they were not allowed to do. There's people that have been told in this village to take fences down, and they took them down. That's happened before. What you're suggesting has happened before.
I'll take the record. I'll continue on.
You want to go, move
Yeah.
forward.
Well,
Instead of tabling it, you mean?
Yep.
yes.
Can I ask you one more question?
Yes, sir.
Is this already built, except for the metal
We
wire
have
around it?
the area set aside for it, and yes, we don't have the metal around. It's not finished.
But the other fence posts are already up?
Fence posts are in, yes.
Yeah, okay.
So you want us to vote? If you
I gotta
want-
be honest, I'm not sure. Yes, sure. It's, yeah.
Any
The
more
cost of
discussion?
1 year delay if you're denied.
And there's no guarantee at the end of that year.
Yeah, that's, yeah. I'm here. This is maybe going on 4 months of talking to the different commissions about this, so. One quick question. Can this be interpreted as a garden wall?
You're looking at me to answer that? I cannot answer that.
Who would?
That, the BZA is the authority to interpret language.
Okay.
So that's their job to interpret whether or not this could be deemed a garden wall.
Because if it's a garden wall, then if correct me if I'm wrong, if the zoning board interpreted it as a garden wall, then I wouldn't need a variance. Is that correct?
Garden walls are exempted under what a definition of a fence is and is not. So,
So garden wall is not considered a fence, so then I wouldn't need a variance for.
That's my understanding.
fence shall exclude courtyard enclosure, garden wall, requirement, trash, etc. I do not believe garden wall is defined, but wall is defined almost the same way as fence.
I think the biggest distinction we saw between the definition of wall and fence is that fence is something with a generally open design and wall with a generally closed design, meaning solid versus see-through.
Like a stone,
And
yeah.
even though that doesn't really have bearing on our ordinance, but in most ordinances of other municipalities that do have a definition for a garden wall, those definitions are usually restricted to a height of like no more than 3 feet when they define a garden wall. So again, that is not our definition because we don't have a specific garden wall definition, but as far as just distinction between wall and fence, the general, what our ordinance does say is wall is solid, fence is not.
Right.
In
I
our
would
subdivision, we have garden walls around our courtyards in our condominium homes. And one of the individuals was not going to put up that garden wall, and they had to build the garden wall
Because it was-
to conform to the design of, we have a certain color we could use, certain kind of roofing we could use, and we had to have,
How tall is the garden wall in the
Pardon?
courtyard?
It's about 3 feet?
they're varying heights, but they are walls, they're solid.
Right.
They're made out of the same brick that the houses are made out of.
So they might be over 3 feet.
Oh, yeah. Ours is at least 5 feet.
I would suggest that there are similar communities to Bingham Farms that are unique compared to many other cities in Oakland County, Macomb County. But you do have
That's 4 feet.
neighbors that are very similar, that I would encourage the planning commission, when wrestling with fencing, to look at what these other communities have done, because some have massaged them quite well to both support the openness and the attractiveness and everything that you're saying you want to maintain with these practical applications of gardens and deer and all that other stuff. And I don't mean to be, I I tend to have rose-colored glasses, but I can't see it taking more than 4 or 5 months.
I can't
At the
either.
most.
It's
You should come to
absolutely-
one of our planning commissions. We have talked and talked, and we have looked at other, I think our plan brought other communities, and we've looked and we've talked,
You
and
just got to take the
Yeah.
leap.
Yeah.
Take the leap and get it on paper and then work it from there.
It should take about a month. 2 months, okay.
It is hard. These things are hard,
very difficult.
but I think.
But you're right, if you don't say, let's get something done by a certain date, it'll go
Yeah.
forever.
Yeah.
And you
I
just do the best you can.
and I'm-
Nothing's
yeah,
ever
That's right,
perfect.
that's exactly right.
It's
So
never
we're sitting
perfect,
here
which is why you have
trying to give
variances.
a young new resident some, and maybe it's advice, maybe you can take the advice or not, but maybe there's hope that in a few months we can, like I said, resolve this. You're okay, the village is okay, because we can say we're supporting our ordinances. Otherwise, we just get lost in all this
Yeah.
stupid
Right.
discussion.
If there's no further discussion about this case, I would like to either move forward or have you take it off the table.
I mean, I gotta be honest, I think I'll still take the vote.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, so then we need to go through all of those.
If someone is going to make a motion either way,
We need to go through all 5 of those.
yes, you don't have to, you can just say that, someone make the motion, I'll help you out as you go. I don't want to put words in anyone's mouth.
Okay. Would anybody like to make a motion concerning case 2025-02, which is 30360 Bristol Lane?
Making a motion to vote yes or no?
Yes.
Yeah, I'll make that motion to vote to accept or not accept the use variance request.
You have to go through all 5 of those.
So you can't make, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, the motion has to be, you can either move to approve because A, B, C, D, or you can move to deny because A, B, C, D, but that's, am I correct?
Correct.
Thank you.
Right.
But if we just say no to number 1, we don't have to go through all 5, correct?
No, whoever's making the motion has to make their motion to either approve or deny following their own list of reasons. Somebody else seconds that, and then, so let's say he says, as an example, somebody makes a motion to approve and lists their reasons why. Somebody seconds that, the board votes, and whoever is opposed, whoever wants to say, no, I'm denying this variance request, just votes nay. And vice versa, if somebody makes a motion to deny, if you instead want to approve, you would vote nay on that. Does that make sense?
But
No, it doesn't to me, but
Yeah.
somebody will make a motion, I'll go
If you can
along.
paraphrase that better as an attorney.
No, I understand, but the question is, if I were to make a motion to not approve the
Okay.
use request,
Mhm.
and I only have one, item number 1 as my main thing, do I have to go through and state that I have 5 different reasons for not approving it, or just one?
just-
I see what you're asking. So if you were, are you saying to deny or approve, so I know the
To
example to
to
say?
deny.
So I make a motion to deny the application for the variance because I do not believe that the applicant has met his burden to show that he has practical difficulty, that this is not unnecessarily burdensome from him to use his property. I find that the variance will not do substantial justice to other property owners, et cetera. Is that making sense? So you would say it in the negative for each one?
Oh, so I have to go through
Yes.
all 5, not just one of the 5?
Yes.
See,
And
that's not what I understood.
See, that seems like a burden.
Absolutely.
the good news is your discussion and the record that you've made have discussed all 5 of these. Now you just got to sum it up in a package.
That's a pretty complex motion.
It's not. You just take each one and kind of hit the main points of each one. And if you can say whichever one you're hanging your head on, if you can give a little more meat to it, and then say, nor do you find 2, 3, 4, and 5 of the ordinance.
So you don't have to disagree with all 5 to make the motion?
No.
So,
Can't she just say that she's considered all 5, but she sees
a problem or not.
She sees number one is lacking, and therefore her motion is to.
And why? And why is it lacking?
For that one. the
For
one thing
whichever
that she-
one, right.
Yes.
And then if you also don't find the rest, you can say, I find that the applicant maybe has met number such and such, but I don't believe they have met number 6, whatever, 1, 2, 4, and 5 for this reason, and then give your reason. It's sounding harder than it is. Go for it, and we'll work you through it.
Okay, so it'd be like, I move to deny the requested motion based on that it does not provide an unnecessary burdensome or unreasonably prevent the owner from using his property for a permitted use, that it will, okay, I'm not sure how to read, the variance will do substantial justice, that it will not do substantial
Yeah, you would say it
justice.
in the
So I have to read,
So
justice to the
Right.
applicant or other property owners, that the lesser variance will not give substantial relief to the applicant or be consistent with justice to other property owners. Oh, the glare. The need for the variance due to unique circumstances peculiar to the property and not generally acceptable in the area does not apply in this case. And the problem and resulting need for variance has not been self-created, but we believe it is self-created and therefore denied.
pretty good, yeah.
Is there a second?
You get a C.
You did it, Kathy.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
I'd like roll call.
And is there further discussion on the
Any further
motion?
discussion?
Or from the public?
Roll call?
Yes.
Okay. Miller?
Approve of the motion.
McAlexander?
No.
Deroni?
Wait a minute.
Wait a minute, wait a minute, wait a
Motion
minute.
is to deny. Are you supporting that?
Very
If you're-
confusing.
Yeah.
If this is
Are you supporting
denial, then the vote
her?
is yes.
We vote yes.
You're
Yes.
supporting denial.
Yeah.
I support the denial.
Deroni?
I support the denial.
Howard?
I support the denial.
Excuse me, obviously.
Yes.
Hageman?
I support it.
Blackburn?
No. Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much.
And just for everyone's knowledge and edification, if there is an applicant that's denied, they have to wait a year unless they change the variance request.
Right.
So if, let's say, for instance, the applicant said, I'm going to put this in the backyard,
Yeah.
will you consider a variance for a fence in the backyard? That's a different application than this one. And the applicant would be allowed to do that.
Okay.
Okay,
Good.
thanks.
Thank you.
Are you able to step out for a quick second?
Yeah, in fact, I'm leaving because
Okay.
they
Yes.
have their meetings with
So I need a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Second.
So,
Any
yeah.
discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes at 6:54 PM. Roll call, please.
Blackburn,
Present?
Zeroni,
Here?
Hageman.
Here.
Howard,
Here?
Machigan,
Here.
McAlexander,
Here.
Miller.
Here,
Thank you. Next, we have the approval of the agenda.
I also move.
Second?
Any discussion? Uh, The council's approving the agenda. Sorry. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Next, we have approval of the regular council meeting minutes from July 28th, 2025. Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the July 28th council minutes.
Second?
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Next, we have public comments not on the published agenda. Is there public comment? If you could come to the podium and state your name and address, please.
Roberta Viviano, 23658 Shagwood Drive.
I'm sorry, you have 3 minutes to make your comments.
Okay,
Go ahead.
I'll speak fast. I have had the front of my lawn totally decimated. They came out originally and replaced 2 sprinkler heads. Since then, the whole front is all torn up by all the equipment and paving the road. And I was supposed to have someone come out. They told me they'd be coming. This was a week and a half ago, and no one has come. I had to turn my sprinkler system off because it floods the street. It doesn't sprinkle the grass and the trees and so on. And I'd like to know when someone's going to come and take care of that.
Okay, we can't go back and forth during public comment, but we are discussing roads, so we will definitely discuss that.
Okay?
We also have our roads people here tonight, so I'm sure they heard your address and your name, and we will follow up and make sure that they contact you.
Okay, one more. I still have another minute.
Yes, you do.
The other thing is that I heard that one of the streets off of Bingham Road is closed because it's a walking path. I never got any notice of that. Aren't we supposed to get notice when these things happen?
Well, again, we can't go back and forth about it. I will tell you, we've been discussing it for 4 years.
A walking road?
Yes.
Well, why are all the barriers up if it's a walking road?
To keep the cars out,
Yes.
so people can walk through the barriers.
We're not supposed
No,
to.
that
public-
can't.
Wait,
public-
We can't.
Wait, you guys
this is
cannot
why.
talk. This is exactly why we do it the way we do it.
Yeah.
Bollards are not up yet.
Correct.
The job is not done yet. Those barricades will be gone, and there will be bollards there that you'll be able to walk through.
Okay, I'm mainly
So she's
concerned
talking.
about my front.
Thank you. Is there any other public comments?
Jamie's probably sick of me. Chad Miller, 23480 Shagwood. I've came many times to show my displease regarding the drainage of the ditching down our road. They cut out the banks very steep, but the grade's still the same. So now I can't mow it. And I think the reason they did all this is to get the water out in front of the Tan's house, because there was a belly of water where their water came out of their house, and there's a belly of water. Well, now that they've done all this work, there's 4 times the water. I mean, it just all sits. And the culvert that's done in front of Mark Milner's house is completely wrong. On the high side, should not be 4 inches of water, and the low side, none. So we just have a lot of city water. So it's just very disturbing with the taxes we pay, the emails that we sent with no response. Very disturbing. So we'd love to walk you around. I mean, I know in my job, I inspect what I expect. I don't see any of you doing that. So that's what I have to say.
Thank you.
Judy Tan, 2355 O'Shagwood. The culvert situation started at our house. We would have this much water on our east side of the driveway. We have a circular driveway. So they dug that up, but it's not even, it's an obstacle, so it doesn't really go all the way. It doesn't drain it. It's not done correctly. And then they cleared the center culvert, and they didn't do anything to the right culvert. And then finally, they dug that up, and they found that the drainage that's supposed to go from our house west, it's completely plugged, and they haven't done anything about that. So it's just, they've done things, but it's not correctly done. Our house, our driveway, our center culvert has an inclination. It's at a high point. Part of it drains east and part of it drains west, and it's not draining.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else?
And because of that, we've never been able to finish our culvert in the front of our house, which is terrible. Because we've never been able to landscape it, or we're not gonna do landscaping, but whatever we're doing, we haven't been able to finish it because of the situation. We've been waiting for this for years. I've complained to the city before.
Okay. Yes.
Is this the time to address the contractors, or do they have a different time?
They're gonna do a presentation.
Okay.
And I'm gonna allow very minimal back and forth, maybe answer questions.
Okay.
But if you have a question or you want something brought up.
Let's hear, well, yeah, I want to see what they were saying, because I do have a couple, but I want to see what they're presenting, and then if we have a little short Q&A.
Yeah, if you'd like them specifically brought up, you should probably come up right now, and that way they can know what to hit.
Okay. Christy Greeneisen, 23415 Shagwood. Mine has to do with the actual asphalt paving and all the clumps and everything. I had Jamie out, and also, where's our engineer who was with us, Ray?
Ray, yeah, he's not here.
Oh, Ray, and we walked, and I showed him just on our street, not Bingham Road as well, where things are all laying all over. I understand the job's not finished yet, but also I noticed in some parts of the paving that it's not smooth, so it's like just raw and cracking, and my fear is once the weather sets in and people are driving, it's gonna start cracking and falling apart. My drive, which I paid for, is all smoothed and everything, so I don't worry about it all cracking and crumbling off. So that's maybe something we can address. I know I had other things. What else did we discuss?
Well, that was the big thing, but besides the other stuff, but.
Oh, yeah, the other stuff we discussed.
We can keep
Yeah.
talking about that, yeah.
So I'm worried about, when are we gonna have all the mess cleaned up? And I'm sure we're gonna discuss that. And I understand you don't make the last payment till we're all happy.
Correct.
So I'll be happy when we withhold the last payment. And I'm concerned with the cost that we're gonna have that crumbling all on the sides, all for naught.
Anybody else? Seeing none? We're gonna move to discussion topics, and we start with the police department's monthly report. We have a special guest today.
For those that were expecting Chief Lawson, so at this point, I'm Lieutenant Berlansky. He is on his way back from Iceland with his wife, so hopefully he had a wonderful time. Besides the report that you guys should all have, Just a couple of quick things. For us, our biggest issues right now are actual personnel. We are actually short an officer right now. We did have Officer Tucker just recently resigned for medical purposes. So we're down one officer, down to 10. We're slated to have 12 is what we're allotted, but we're at 10 right now. We've never been to 12 yet, but we do have an officer starting beginning of September, coming on from West Bloomfield, a lot of experience. It's great, get us back to 11, and we already are doing a background on another officer, so hopefully October, November at the latest, we should be at our 12 and at full staff. So that's basically it, other than we're prepping for our Labor Day roundup that's coming up. It's a big deal for Franklin.
Yeah.
Obviously, you're all welcome. Hope to see you, but that's basically it, unless anybody has any other questions.
Thank you for your time this afternoon to help clarify an issue that I brought up to the police department. I'm looking at the section of your report that has to do with traffic citations, and specifically the number of traffic violations in Bingham Farms this year compared to 2024. It's significantly lower. Are people behaving themselves that much more? Or what's happening?
I would say that our numbers are down in both villages. Part of that was staffing issues. We've been running short for several periods in the last year. And when we normally run 2 officers at a shift. So when they're by themselves, they do less traffic because it's less safe, because they don't have backup. We do have a great relationship with the partnering communities, whether it's West Bloomfield, Bloomfield Township, Southfield. They're great, but they're coming from a little farther, so they're less eager to do traffic when they're by themselves, because it's more of a safety issue.
How long has this vacancy been in effect for the one officer that is retiring for medical purposes?
So this officer has been off and on for months at a time. So it's been going on. It's been significant this last year. So we've been missing an officer for several months of the year.
Thank you.
Are there any other questions? If you want to grab that chair, Chief Lawson usually, or there's one there, he usually sits over there if you would like, or you can do whatever you want, but since you're just visiting.
Right there in case I get out of control.
Yeah.
The closer to him, the better.
That's the real reason. Yes.
Make sure where the cuffs are.
Thank you very much. Next, we have the Fire Department monthly report. Chief Everbuck is back.
Good evening.
Good evening.
You've also received our written report. We continue to work on our annual inspection and maintenance programs. So we have several pieces of apparatus that are going in and out of service. Nothing is out of service, but we're sending them. We have a mechanic up in Waterford that we're using. We are coming to grips with a lot of intermittent issues, and we're actually coming to resolution with those. So pretty pleased with that. Other than that, our run volume remains high. I can't say that anymore because everything that we've been doing for years is just maintaining, as you can see from our numbers. And other than that, the only thing I would suggest for residents, twofold. Number one, consider a Knox box for your home. I'd rather have a police officer or a firefighter open the box to get the key than break the door down. Had to replace mine this year, and they're expensive. Small investment can save a lot of money, potentially.
And we can get those at the fire
You
station?
can order them online.
Online, okay.
Knoxbox.com. If you have any questions, though, please call the fire station. I'll be more than happy, or any of my firefighters will be more than happy to answer whatever questions you have or talk about the process.
Is it important if you have multiple entrances to get more than one?
It's not, no.
Okay.
But what's important is if you have more than one key that you need to access your home with. There's a thing called a Knox Home Box that literally is designed to hold one key and no more.
Okay.
After that, you go up to what's referred now as a commercial box. This is a name change that took place about 4 or 5 years ago, but it can hold multiple keys. And there is no ordinance in Bingham Farms regarding residential use of Knox boxes.
Okay, good.
Every police vehicle and every fire truck has a key, as well. Yes.
Great. I do have a question.
Yes.
I was looking at the numbers, the
Yes.
EMS calls,
Yes.
which are life-saving calls for all of us in the community.
Yes.
The number in July of 2024 was 25 calls.
Mhm.
The number this year is 40.
Mhm.
What's the increase and where are they going?
I'd love to know the reason. We've had 3 runs today already.
Yeah.
So it's just, this year has been very, very strange. We've gone, as you can see, the total run volume for July was, I believe, right around 60 calls. Without having a severe weather event, this is not typical.
I have a thought.
Yeah.
Aging population.
Speak for
Just saying.
yourself.
Yeah.
I'll stay out of that. I'm already in enough trouble for that.
Okay.
Fifth Amendment right
It's
out.
being recorded.
No, our run volume has gone up. So we're finding what we're referring to as a careless cook, which isn't a careless cook. It's mainly someone who's cooking something very smoky. The alarm goes off. Either they don't know they have an alarm system, they don't know it's gone off, or they don't know how to cancel us. We're seeing those. We are seeing the construction-related alarms. Those are not as bad as what they've been, but this morning we started on Telegraph with a company that was actually testing the system.
Oh.
And you would think if anyone would know
They'd call
to
you.
cancel the alarm, but
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
So, but we do report those out. We've had several this year which were called for someone driving by and they see someone, typically they're sleeping, but they call up saying that someone looks like they're dead, things like that. Haven't had one of those in a while, but haven't had one this year. So
Oh my gosh.
those are good intent calls, but we're happy to go on those just to
Yeah.
be sure. But for some of these that can be controlled, we have issues.
Mhm.
And then what we're seeing also is just, we do have several repeat clients, I'll just say that, from both villages that are going, and we have seen an increase in the number of calls from certain businesses.
Yeah.
But
Well, I noticed that 3 of the incidences, there was a charge that was going to be sent out.
that
So-
would have been, if it's a false alarm, the charge
Right.
goes out through the village,
Yeah.
Bingham Farms,
So
under your
that's,
ordinance.
or Franklin, yeah.
So,
Good.
both Franklin and Bingham Farms have somewhat similar ordinances,
Mhm.
but the intent was the same. But it's up to the village on a
Yeah.
false fire alarm, excuse me.
Yeah. Okay,
So,
thank you.
You're welcome. Anyway, pending any other questions, that'll conclude my report. Okay, thank you.
Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much. Thank you very much. Before we move to the village manager's report, I just wanted to remind everybody that our microphones are very, very sensitive. So if you're speaking in the audience, it's probably being picked up by the microphone, which is recorded. And it's hard for us to hear everything that's going on, so I just wanted to make that reminder. Sorry, usually I do it at the beginning and I didn't, so I wanted to do that now. Next is the village manager's report.
My report is in your packet, and you receive it, of course, every Friday. Just one other thing that's kind of happy for me is our offices are going to be painted starting tomorrow. So, yeah, so it'll look different next time you're here. Yeah.
It's good news.
Yes.
Thank you for making that happen.
Of course.
I have a question about
Yeah.
the code enforcement officer.
Yeah.
Now, he's started.
Yes.
Okay.
I hired him pretty much immediately when I was hired. I was told that was a priority, so I made it a priority.
What is his name?
Jeff McQueen. Jeff with a G.
G-E-O.
Yep.
E?
Yeah. Jeff G-E-O-O-F-F. Yeah, McQueen. Yep.
G-E-O-F-F.
Got it. Yeah, I think he drives a white pickup.
Yes.
Yeah.
And he's got a Bingham magnet on it. Yep.
Oh, I didn't,
Placard on the side.
I didn't see that, but I think he stopped at my house today.
Oh.
And I went out, I was talking with my landscaper, and I ran out to the front. As I'm finally making it to the front, he's in the cabin taking off, so I
Oh,
talking to.
he might have just been out on general.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Nope, he's been great. Yeah.
Just want to make sure it was him.
Yeah, yes. And he wears a
Wandering
name
around.
badge
Yeah.
too. Yes.
Okay,
Yep.
Good, thank you.
Yeah.
Any other questions for our manager? Okay, moving to our administrative assistant, economic development coordinator report.
Most of the updates to my report from last month have to do with the developments at 13 and 14 Mile, but as you guys know from the ZBA meeting, you got even more recent of an update from Mary, so I really don't have anything new to add unless you have questions. Yes.
It's fun, you went to the SISMA meeting, and this is something I'm seeing in the village, is the invasive species taking over. Is there, do you put this in the newsletter, what you found and the information, so that we can share it with the residents?
We can certainly add it. I'll have to double check where on our website it is, but we definitely have links to resources, both SISMA's website and their affiliates that provide a lot of resources for people of what are the invasives that are currently a problem in Michigan, what should you be on the lookout for, how do you deal with them, what's the best way to control or mitigate
I think the
them.
best way to get people to read it is actually print it out and give it to them. So, if we can manage to get that in the newsletter, I think it
Yeah,
would be a benefit.
and we've been talking about it a lot recently.
Right.
Yeah.
And we have plenty of printed materials with that, with those resources in our lobby. We have all kinds of flyers there.
So of the 1,100 residents, how many do you think have been in to get those?
Well, people do stop by to pay taxes
Sure
in
they
person
do.
quite a bit this time of
They
year.
do, but it's just more inclusive if we were to put it in a tool that hopefully they're reading more comprehensively.
I'd argue the internet is accessible to all.
True.
Not everybody knows how to use it. So we want to be inclusive, but thank you. Thank you very much.
Any further questions or comments? Moving on to new business, we have the roads discussion. We do have our engineers that are here. If you would like to lead the discussion, do you want to start it out, or do you want to, how did you?
Sure, I mean, I don't have much of a presentation, you said presentation, I
Well,
have much of one, I can kind
not
of
a
give an update.
presentation.
Kind of give an
All right.
update, and then, as you said, we do a small Q&A, fine with that.
Okay.
Amongst whoever you like, but we are done with all the paving, except for the HMA curbs that still need to go in on Bingham Road, so all the paving is done. We still have some restoration to do, we need to fill in on the edges of some of the roads that still have little gaps in there, should help with the cracking on the edges when that gets compacted. There's still items on the sides of the roads, culverts, clumps of asphalt, things like that, that we know the contractor, we've been telling them for weeks now that you gotta keep this cleaned, and they're tough to wrangle in sometimes, but we know we gotta do that. Any old signs need to be removed with all the new signs put in, just the traffic signs, not the
Street signs.
Any mailboxes that we wanted to relocate, because some of the mailboxes are far off the road, which leads the mail person to drive off the road to get to the mailbox. So we want to make sure that those are moved closer to the edge, so the mail person doesn't have to drive on the edge, because we don't want people driving on the edge of the road. That is the weakest point of the road. We want them driving more into the center. So we are going to do some mailbox relocations, and then fix any ones that may have been damaged. We still have to touch up some restoration, minor ditch work in some spots. I talked about the HMA curb. We have bridge repairs and guardrail maintenance to do, and they're minor repairs, mostly coating some of the internals underneath the bridge, and then some guardrail maintenance. Sprinklers are scheduled for September 2nd. That's when they're scheduled currently. Hopefully they stick to that schedule. I hope so too. We talked about the new traffic signs. And then there are a couple areas, and we had some discussions on the road, some open graded areas that need to be treated, and a little bit of sealant that we're going to do in a couple of these areas. And there's some minor divots and depressions that we found in the road, whether they're from animal prints or construction equipment, stuff like that, that we'll have the contractor try and take care of as well. And there's some other minor paving-related sealing and things like that need to be done.
I would just like to encourage everybody here and everybody that's listening to view this as we're talking about a construction project that is still in progress and underway. And there's 1,000 details required to get one of these things done. And there's still 100 that have yet to be resolved, and they need to be completed. And that seems like a lot, but this is still a construction project that is underway and ongoing.
I think that's,
So I
I
should do
think
an-
that's okay, but I want to just point out something.
I want to do introductions real quick, if you don't
Yeah.
mind. I'm Brad Shuttler with Hubbell Roth and Clark.
Yeah, we know Brad.
This is Bill West, he's
And I
kind
know
of our
Bill.
pavement guru
Yeah.
and stuff like that, so I just wanted to let you know,
So anybody that signed up for the weekly email,
Wait,
Wait,
are you done?
Oh, almost done.
Yeah.
Almost
Will you let him
done.
finish, please?
maybe.
And I want to say, it sounds like we have some drainage issues on Shagway, so we would like to go out there
I
and
wanna
meet
talk
with
on
you.
that point real quick too.
Okay.
In front of my neighbor's house, that culvert's done on. I just looked at it yesterday. On the high side, there's 4 inches of water. Low side, 0.
Okay.
You have a buckle in your pipe.
Is it a new pipe or is it?
You guys put the pipe in.
Okay, so I know
why.
we took shots on that and it.
Well, then there's a
and it
buckle in
says-
the pipe because the shot can be
Okay,
accurate
so,
to the
I mean,
side.
we can TV it and actually see if there's an actual buckle
Well, water
and see
doesn't
that.
lie.
Well, I know, and that's why we can, we can
there's
take
four-
shots on it too,
well,
so,
all right.
we're willing to go out there and meet
Yesterday-
with you guys,
Let me
for the
finish.
transit.
There was 4 inches of water on the high side. 4. I had a tape measure, I have a picture. 0 on the other. It's off. And there's like 8 inches of water sitting in the ditch.
Okay, well, we'll take a look at it. From what's being described, I don't know what might be the issue, so we need to take a look at it. That's all, I'm offering that to Shagwood residents, that we'll go take a look at it. Because we only did drainage improvement numbers, we saw there was issues with grades based on all the culverts that we shot. That's the only time we touched a ditch. We tried not to touch many of them because the ditch work and the underground work caused the biggest disturbance, and we know that. So we didn't want to touch everything.
There's only water a little bit in front of their area, and now there's multiple areas along that area, multiple.
We will come take a look at it. If you want, we want to pick a day that meets for everyone to meet out there, so you can show us, we'd be more than willing to do that.
But after a rainfall.
Yeah, I mean, because that's when it, I mean, I have pictures.
It's not dry.
Okay, it's hard to predict that, but we can try.
Okay.
We try. We want this project to be successful, okay? We don't want.
And I understand the shots. I mean, I did drainage for golf courses.
Okay.
So I understand grade.
Okay.
And your grade can be at one point here, one point here. That travel, and you guys used a lot longer culvert than what was there. I don't know why, but you did it as 11 feet longer. I don't know why.
Okay. I don't know why, I don't know if there's a joint in the middle either. I mean, if there's no joint in the middle, it's tough to have a
Maybe
buckle,
it's
but.
that
I don't know.
But the shot point on the one side and the other side can be true. You know, you're great, you're 3%, I don't know what you're going off of. However, there can be a buckle in there. And that's what it is. I guarantee that's what it is. There's a buckle in there holding the water up.
We will take a look. We will investigate. That's all I can offer you at this point.
Oh, one quick question. I know you're done with the roads, and you said you were gonna do curbs. Are the curbs going on all the main roads?
Just where they were on Bingham Road.
Just Bingham
We're
Road?
just replacing the old HMA curb.
And so
That was important.
how are you going to address the areas of the asphalt that's kind of crumbling because it's not finished?
So there's areas on edges that are crumbling. It might be just because we overextended the road, and the full width of the road is still fine. So it's okay for an edge to crumble when we pack the sides next to it, because the driving lanes, the through
Oh, so
lanes.
you're not finished with that yet?
No, yeah. The project's not done, yeah. We need to
So
fill
we're
in.
not finished with the road yet, because you have to go back and fix
We're
those.
finished with paving, like literally putting asphalt down on the ground. We're not done with restoring everything yet. No. We'll still do that. And that'll protect the edges once they get backfilled. But a little bit of crumbling on the edges, you're always gonna have an open edge when you lay a mat of asphalt. There's always gonna be an open edge. You're gonna see some loose stuff come off. That's always gonna happen. You can't, unless you have a curb that you're paving up against, you're always gonna have a free edge. Does that make sense?
Okay, so where the edge is, and then you see some asphalt going out this way, that's gonna be cut off?
It's gonna be filled in
With what?
with
Oh, wait a minute.
soil.
Soil.
I mean, here's the edge of the asphalt, and then you have some pieces all connected going out a little bit, and around that's not gonna be cut off?
It's just filled it, they weren't good. Can I ask a question, why they made the ditch so steep? It's unmowable now. I mean, to have the same.
So is it deeper or is it steeper?
It's not a deeper ditch now, it's just a steeper.
So they would have had to add soil to it to make it?
Yeah, they didn't make the shoulders. I mean, try to mow it when the lawnmower falls straight down. I mean, I don't know why the pitch is so.
We didn't make it
severe.
deeper.
It's not deeper.
I was wondering why we touched it.
You guys dug out of it, but then you put it all back.
All right, like I said, we will take a look at it. It seems to not be working, so we will go take a look at it. We don't want an unsuccessful project. So we will Sounds like that's the only road that seems like an issue.
Also, Ray.
Oh, no, that's not the only road. We just all haven't talked yet.
Ray, the engineer, came out and took pictures of the end of our street where the culvert, where the circle goes around, and the water's supposed to go up into the swale. But I didn't know water goes uphill, and he took pictures. He said it's not supposed to go uphill. So he thought they would come back and just grade it a little bit.
Well, again, if it's not working, those are things, again, that's why the project is not finished yet. So that's why we need to go back and say, contractor did what they thought they were supposed to do based on the plans. Okay, we had observers there watching it. If they didn't shoot the correct grade when they did it, they need to come back and redo it. You know, 'cause they're supposed to shoot grade with the elevations, make sure everything flows downhill. Back to the cul-de-sac, there's a drainage easement back there, like everything's supposed to flow to woodland, you know, so that's what we're just trying to I want to say, trying to re-grade, re-accomplish, exactly, thank you. Couple more things. Eric?
Yeah.
I just want to say that right now the project is tracking construction under budget and administration under budget.
And that's all good.
I want to let you know that.
And to say this, you've been very responsive, at least when I was asking for these, so it's all good. But Bill's comment, I think we need to be careful with. The project isn't done, we agree with that. But the email that went out, and I'm not sure why so many folks are here tonight to talk about it, the email that went out on Friday made these claims to all Bingham Farms residents. Florence Cement Company is beginning to transition to project closeout and punch list items. There will not be many opportunities for Florence to come back to address issues once we reach a substantial completion date. So the message, to me at least, is you guys are moving quickly towards project completion, punch list completion. Punch list approval will trigger a final payment. And I think people are concerned, me being one of them, that Florence leaves and we never get them back.
That's not true.
Well, it's maybe not true, maybe not true.
So we wanted to get that email out so that we could get people talking about things.
Well, that's why I think you're listening.
Which is fine, that's what we wanted, right? We don't want to finish project closeout items and then out of the woodwork after Florence has left, after they may have gotten, and they won't get final payment for a while. I mean, we need restoration to establish. We have a lot of things left, so we're not in a hurry to close them out. We're in a hurry to get comments. How about that?
Can I say something positive?
Yeah.
They made it easy for the residents to go in and out of their homes and be able to use the roads. You have to during construction, so they need credit for that.
I think they should. I think they deserve lots and lots of credit.
Yeah,
I just want to
absolutely.
make sure we've got a process in place that says this project is now
Finished.
complete to the satisfaction of the residents.
Yeah, which is why we're trying to get comments. We're trying to get anything that you don't see, drainage issues on Shagwood. I know Ray has been dealing with a lot of those, but we want people to give us these comments so we can, again, go out and meet and say, contractor, you didn't do this right.
Yeah.
You need to fix this. The village shouldn't have to pay for this because you didn't do it correctly.
Right.
So that is what that email was. If it was not written that clear, then we can make that more clear.
No, it's fine. I just want, but it did cause a reaction, and maybe that's what you wanted, and that's good. Yeah, I agree.
Because they're still weeks and weeks away. All the small stuff is the stuff that takes time.
Yep.
And they're not going to be here, 5 days a week anymore.
Right.
No, so it's going to be day after day, get them back. Okay, you got to come back for this, you got to come back for this. And we're trying to organize so they have enough work that makes it, I don't want to say worth it to them, that sounds bad.
And that's the way it should work.
They need enough work to come back for a nice full day of work.
It's going to be intermittent.
Yeah.
I can give them a few things to do. I'd be happy to. The drains, the big ones, the metal ones, with the sack underneath that's been removed?
The metal, those are actually plastic.
Plastic, yeah.
Plastic, oh, okay. What are they called?
Maintenance basins, is what we call them.
Basins, okay.
The perforated plastic basins that are supposed to allow infiltration when it gets too saturated.
And that's only for the overflow?
No, there's holes underneath. That whole system is encased in gravel. It's a big French drain.
Okay.
right? So it's meant to drain, but not drain quickly. We talked about this. We want it to drain slowly so that we don't inundate people downstream. We don't take all the water immediately and push it into the river and just say, okay, we're done with it, and then meanwhile people downstream flood.
Yeah, I'm just not
So-
seeing the draining yet. And maybe it's too soon, but the water is still standing.
Standing ditches, I mean, we can come back again. The project's not done. It's not fully restored yet. Until we get
The grass?
established restoration, we still have those covers, you know, those sacks that are in all those structures. We don't want dirt and sediment to get in there, because then you just have to clean that out. So that's why those sediment bags are still in. That blocks drainage a little bit, because it's supposed to. It's supposed to collect all the fines and the sediments and things like that, so that all doesn't get in the system, so it stays clean during construction. Once the grass grows and gets established, we can get rid of those. That's where stuff would overflow. Again, once we are done with the project, we can definitely go back while everything's still under contract and, you know, do the same thing we did pre-project. Go 24 hours after a rain event, 48 hours, 96 hours, and see how these ditches are draining and if there's a marked improvement. And that's what we're going for. Again, it is a ditch and culvert system. It's not meant to drain immediately.
Okay. Well, you found my neighbor to have water in his drain, just to the east of his, well, it'd be his east driveway, and the west of his east driveway. And the solution, because of the gas line that was found, was not to include his ditch in the primary system, the large pipe running under the ground, perforated, wrapped, going to the tributary of the Rouge. Instead, you did a drain, a pipe, closer to the surface and built a detention pond at the end of that, which is about 30 feet onto my property. And the detention pond is probably 25 feet long. And I objected to that because I didn't want it on my property. I thought there was space on the other side of his driveway to his property line that you could have put it. But you decided that it belonged on my property. So now I've got not only my own standing water, but I have water coming from his property onto mine. And it has yet to be dry, not one day.
Where do you live?
Okay, well, that's
Bingham
been
Lane.
discussed many times before.
Right.
I was standing up there in the sun.
Yeah.
Don't know that needs to be addressed again. We've already talked about
No,
this.
but it's, I told you, it's not acceptable to move a problem from one house onto my property where I have to deal with it now, and you don't have a solution for that. Because it's not draining.
There's a ditch that the water is in, correct?
A clay ditch. A clay, this is what I don't know that you would.
There's underdrain pipe underneath there. Again, we could not, I'm going to briefly talk about this. We've talked about this ad nauseum already. We could not dig a pipe there because the soils were so bad. They almost lost their excavator in there. They could not dig a pipe. Okay, we could not put what was designed in there because the soils were so poor.
Isn't there a pipe coming from my neighbor's yard? There's a pipe coming from my neighbor's yard.
I'm sorry.
Don't even go there. Don't go there.
You need to let him speak. We asked him to come.
You know what, Lisa? I have ad nauseum discussed this, and there's not one viable reason why that pipe has to be on my yard and not in his. The pipe you put in goes from where to where that drains into my yard, into the detention pond.
We extended the culvert under the driveway to get through those poor soils so they weren't saturated
Right.
anymore. So we just extended a culvert. Essentially, that's all we did.
And why didn't you put it on his property? End it there.
We put it in the ditch.
On my property. I'm saying,
ditch.
end it, the ditch on his property.
The ditches are the village's property. Let's just start there.
That's not true. The ditches aren't your property. The village does not own the easement. The property owners own that property.
So then the
village
property
has a
owners
legal
should be
right
paying to do their drainage.
Let me finish. The village has a legal right to use an easement that's our property to do certain things, like infrastructure. The village does not own that easement.
So the village, so then the property owner should pay for it.
Technically, the property
I don't know
line
what you're
is.
talking about. The
It's not an
easement is a
easement,
legal
it's a
right.
right of way. Technically, the property
Fine, it's a right of way.
is.
The village has a legal right to do this project, put in drainage, cut down trees to put in drainage, dig holes. You have that right, but you do not own the property. The people sitting in this room own the property.
So then the people in this room should be paying for this.
I don't know, I don't even know what you're talking
We
about.
are paying the taxes. We are paying
The
for
water
it.
that is coming is
No, no.
constantly draining into that ditch. We have gone over and over for 2.5 years
Well,
about
we can
this.
keep talking about it for 2.5 more years. If it's a
Okay, then the
problem.
water that comes out of some pumps constantly, almost nonstop, the French drains that are draining into the ditches
Which they always
should stop.
have.
The
Always have.
gutters that are now being drained
Always
into the
have.
ditches.
Always have.
No, they have not.
I can assure you.
Yes, they have.
No, they haven't.
That's not
Then our
true, Lisa.
contractors need to fix
That's
it the
not
way they
true.
know how to fix it.
You're
intention-
arguing things that aren't even relevant and are not true.
They are
Period.
true. I've seen the water myself.
Okay, so we all know water flows downhill, correct?
Well, when you put the slopes the right way.
We extended the culvert. We extended the culvert, okay, so that it would flow past this saturated area that just keeps causing, obviously, it's saturated for a reason, because water is not leaving it. We extended it to get it into that maintenance basin that we're talking to more quickly and easily. If we would cut it back all the way like it was, all the water would sit in that 100-foot long section of ditch rather than a 25-foot section of ditch. Okay? And again, the water shouldn't be sitting there because there's an underdrain pipe in that 25-foot section.
It's covered with clay.
If you didn't
That wasn't-
remove
that
clay
wasn't
and put
supposed to be put
topsoil
back.
in,
Clay, if we want to dig it out and make sure there's sand and gravel back there, we can do that.
Thank you, I think that may be the answer. I want to
Okay.
get back to finish my point on the
Okay,
easement.
sorry.
The residents own the property. You have certain legal rights, the village has certain legal rights to do things to that property. What it doesn't have the right to do is to do something to that property that leaves it in worse shape than it was before. For instance, a steep ditch. For instance, standing water that you didn't have before. By the way, I don't even think to defend the situation, because I live this life myself every day, not in road construction, but in custom design and build equipment. I lead your life every day. It's not even a criticism. It's just saying these are problems we want to make sure get in front of people, that get a solution to it that the residents agree to. That's all. I have to do it every day. You have to do it every day. Sometimes it isn't very fun.
I've lived in my
That's what
house
we're-
for 36
Yeah.
years. I've never had the problem.
Well, that's exactly the point. Now we've done something that's created a problem. That's okay. By the way, that's okay. It's probably normal. Then let's go out and try to fix the problem.
Yeah, that's fine.
And just so
we talked
everybody
about
knows,
that?
we were
Right, yeah.
very clear that 48 hours of water in a ditch was fine.
That was what was
We could have
discussed.
paid a lot more money to have the water
Gone.
dissipated much, much
We
quicker.
didn't agree to make the situation worse.
But I'm just telling
What is
everybody,
worse, I guess is the question.
48 hours
I
of
think
water
she
in the
just
ditch.
described worse perfectly. You lived somewhere for 36 years and you didn't have the problem, now you got the problem.
Okay, well, we will, okay, so again, we will go back, we will go back and fix this, or we will look at it, okay? But we would not have done anything to these ditches if there wasn't water sitting in them for 96 hours or more. So to say there wasn't a problem before, again, it's in the eye of the beholder. here.
Well, it could be.
What wasn't a problem before, what was a problem
But
before? I don't
somebody's
know.
lived
All of a
there
sudden,
for
it is a
all these
problem when it
years.
wasn't.
So, listen to the
So
people
we
that
will,
live there.
again, we will address that, but when people say, I never had this issue before, again, you deal with it every day, I deal with it every day. You know, that, unless there's any type of documentation, we have pictures of all the areas that we did it for a reason. So we didn't touch things that didn't have a problem. We know better than that.
And I think what you're describing, again, is a process that helps us get to the completion.
That's what we're trying to do.
Yeah.
Love to get to the completion.
But let's not.
How about you'd love to get it right? You need to get it right to get it to the completion.
That's right.
Well, again, the question is what is right is very vague in this case.
And it's what we decided to pay for. We could have done things much differently. We could have had flat all the way to the street and had French drains like
Could put curbs all along.
Beverly Hills has. This council decided not to spend that kind of money. So, yeah, we could have done curves, we could have done French drains with flat lawn right out to the grass. We had a resident roads committee that was very, very, very clear about, don't spend too much money, cut this amount in half. We don't want to do this, we don't want to do that. We listened to the residents. We have spent 4 years talking about this. And those things were cut out, and all we heard was, get the price down, get the price down, get the price down.
I don't know what
So,
committee you were listening to. I never said that.
all
Never did I say.
I don't remember hearing that either.
Ever came out of the
No,
road committee mouth.
no, they
Never.
didn't discuss that.
It never came out of the road committee mouth. We did say when he presented $15 million, we were going to spend $15 million. We did say that.
for it.
I'm sorry?
But we could have spent 15 million.
Drains that I paid for in my property
Yeah.
And instead, we spent 2.
Yeah.
within the last year.
Right. I'm just trying to get everybody to know that 48 hours of water in the ditches is what we all voted on. That was clear. This council voted that we were okay to have water in a ditch for 48 hours, right?
We did.
What
Yeah, but
happens
how about
when
a-
you go past the 48 hours?
That's where we did a project to address it. Whether it be the ditch was too high, it sloped the wrong way, the culvert sloped the wrong way, those are the areas that we targeted. We were conscious at only targeting those areas. Now, if we didn't do those correctly, we want to go back and look at it and make sure, say, okay, we need to do it like this. That's fine. We don't want to make a problem worse. We want to address concerns. Now, if it's not draining because of the slope issue, that's a concern. If it's an issue of water is here instead of here, I have a harder time with that as a concern. That's my whole thing. If it's an aesthetic issue, I'm much more of a hard time.
If there's still water in one spot as opposed to another spot, that's okay.
If it was more than 48 hours, no.
48 hours. So I have a question going back to, I think I heard a comment in the beginning from somebody that said that they had emailed or hadn't gotten a reply for a while.
0.
And I guess I want to circle in on that and hearing that we're not done yet, there's a punch list. As that punch list gets shorter, how does a resident know that they're on that list? Or how do we say that something is closed out from and I think there's ways for residents to get in touch with HRC and also here at the office. And so I just want to clarify, I just want to understand, I don't live up that way, but if I had a concern, how would I know that it's been addressed or it hasn't been addressed, and to be able to feel like, well, I didn't know it got taken off the list and I think it's still a problem, and I go to Jamie and I talk to you about it. How does that process work?
We typically email the person first, so if you didn't get a response, I apologize. I thought we've done
Yeah, I
a
think
very good job of
yeah,
responding to
we
almost
did check
every
your email on, yeah.
I don't know, it's a 9-page PowerPoint.
I know,
Put a
that
little
was
effort
like,
towards it,
you
with
did
no
a great job.
response.
No, I remember that. That was
yeah.
forwarded to the engineers.
Yeah,
They,
yeah.
if I recall, they contacted Mr. Milner next door to you. They met, if I understand correctly.
No, they didn't. They did not.
Okay, well, we will.
So his
definitely look
mailbox
into
was
that.
not taken care of, and the communication between him and, well, I understand, but that was part of the same email. I assume that was taken care of. If it's still ongoing, that's fine. We'll let them
Mailboxes aren't
address
done
it.
yet.
Yeah, so
So
how do
we would contact people individually and let them know that we'll take care of it.
Okay.
That has been the protocol.
Okay. So I think, yeah, just residents need to
Oh,
get,
again, yeah.
and they can continue to ask, they can ask again,
Yeah, no,
was it addressed or not?
we'll make sure.
Yeah.
Correct. To follow up on your question, so there have been multiple ways that residents bring up their issues and concerns to the engineering team and to us. One is they can reach out to the engineers directly using the various points of contact that HRC provided via door hangers, our website posting, and the email distribution system. The other way is I've had I've had residents call us here at the office directly, express their issues, and then again, I will usually either make an email, I'll get the resident's contact information, I write up what the concern is to the engineering team, copy the resident on it, and any communication between them and HRC is copying me and or Jamie, so we see how that's progressing. So that's basically been the system. I would assume residents that submitted a concern, whether it's by phone, email, directly to HRC or directly to us, if you have trouble hearing back, if you haven't heard back in a while, feel free, call us, because there is a lot of issues that come up. It's a large project, so sometimes emails do get missed. So going, hey, I sent this concern in a week ago, I haven't heard back, helps me poke HRC and say, hey, did we miss that? Is there progress on that? Are we still evaluating? What's the status? So please reach out to our office. We are.
Well, I did. And you assume, not me.
Gotcha. Yeah. Well, yeah, I did forward it on. So if I don't hear back from HRC or from you guys, I assume it's taken care
I got it
of.
marked down, I'll reach out.
Yeah,
to
we were, because
tonight.
we were waiting to hear from you too, remember? So, yeah, we were looking for that, so.
Looking for what?
Your email.
It was sent a long time ago.
No, I know, but we knew it was coming, so we
Yeah.
forwarded it on right away.
Yeah, like after you and Mr. Milner stopped by the
Yeah,
office,
yeah.
I said, email me with that PowerPoint.
Yeah,
Once you did, which
yeah,
I
we
think there
were-
was a gap of time between
talked
you
about it every
stopping
day,
by.
yeah. Yeah.
I forwarded it on.
Your email address in hand, I can make sure to look for it in case you got some spam or something like that, you know? Or you said it came from you guys, though?
I would have been the one to forward it,
Forwarded it
and
on?
I could have sworn, Ray, and I even had a back and forth on
I
it
think
with
so, too.
with the resident
We will-
emails, but
we will
I can
check
double
this.
check all that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the first I've heard of someone not getting a response. The response, I thought, has been really good for this project.
Thank you.
I've been hearing you've been very responsive, and the people on the ground are very responsive, and the portal that we're communicating through, I feel like people feel are responsive. You can put pictures and all that.
We're trying. It's taking a lot of time. I can tell you that. We didn't account for this much resident interaction, communication. I can tell you that.
Right.
Welcome to Bingham.
Yeah.
Any idea when the balusters are gonna go in on timber trail?
Bollards?
Bollards?
I don't have that on the list, but it's on the list for the project completion, but I don't know exactly when. But yeah, it's gonna be the ones that were specified. Ones are chiefs, both the chiefs are gone. Okay.
Now would be a good time to also remind people, because as things start getting cleaned up, if things get put away, people were moving the barriers and driving down the road. Please don't do that. We spent a lot of money on that and want it to be a walking trail, and I mean, if it gets wrecked,
Yeah. So the bottles will be about 4 feet apart, so that easily be walked through, but you can't drive your own. So bikes and things like that can fit pretty well through them.
right? So they had to add some more barriers because residents were moving them and driving down. So that's why there's more heavy
Yeah.
construction there. Yeah. Might be harder to walk through, but. So, is there anything else?
Yeah, I have more. And I'm going to do a very brief introduction and then state a motion that I would like to put before the council. So it's been said, and I apologize, I don't know the people that have joined us from Shadwood, so it was interesting to hear your comments. I live on Bingham Lane. One thing's for sure, the way we financed this project was that the previous council increased taxes on everybody in this community. Everybody. And then this council authorized a special assessment for everybody that was directly impacted by the project. Everybody sitting in here, and I guess almost everybody sitting on the council, has been affected by it, so we're paying a special assessment. The special assessment is deemed legal, if you will, because it would, in this case, increase the value of our properties. So that's one thing we all need to consider as we have this discussion. And I repeat, I'm not sure that any of the things we're seeing are abnormal, but my concern is how we finish this project. I think for a project of this magnitude where people are paying additional taxes, where they're paying special assessments, it is my opinion that the residents should be represented by one person that currently sits on this council to be part of this very critical part of the project, which is punch list and final payment. So my motion, very briefly, and then when we come back to more discussion, if it gets a second, then I'll say a few more words. My motion is to nominate and authorize one person on the village council to work with Jamie. I know you guys are busting your butts every day. You're taking all this stuff. It's great. I'm not sure if it's even fair to you and sometimes to ask you to be making some of these decisions. Work with Jamie, Bill, and HRC. I've met with you several times. You're you're very responsive, we've already said that. But to ensure satisfactory completion of the road contractor's punch list prior to final payment being authorized. Nominate and authorize one person on the village council to work with Jamie Bill and HRC to ensure satisfactory completion of the road contractor's punch list prior to final payment being authorized. But the residents may or may not know.
We nominate.
Well, I said for the, that sits on the council. Maybe whoever gets nominated will enlist this gentleman. So that's another question. That's my motion.
I will second that.
Any discussion? I mean, I would put my name on the table for that, just because I'm in here pretty much every day. I think it should not be somebody that's currently in the project area.
On the contrary.
And I think that just, and that would only make sense if the president would, just because I'm in contact and I'm in the office every day. So
Okay, that's fine. We can, I mean, obviously, we're going to choose some, did the motion get seconded? Yes. So we're going to nominate people. I want to say a few other things, too, because I want to make sure that everybody does understand this clearly, and I apologize if you do, by saying it again. This is a definition of a punch list. It's a document prepared at key milestones or near the end of a construction project that lists works that do not conform to contract drawings and specifications that the contractor must correct prior to final payment. Final payment to the contractor is only made when all items on the punch list have been confirmed to meet the project design specifications required by the contract, or, and this is a big or, some mutually agreed resolution for each item that has been reached. So that's a punch list. We're entering what I consider, at least for the money side of it, we're entering the most critical part of the project. And it's really hard for the contractors, in this case HRC, the project manager, to manage all this, but that's part of the deal. That's what a project, that is the definition of a punch list. By the way, to my knowledge, I think it was Mike asking the question, I don't think we have the punch list. So I don't know that we know what's been done or not. So this is my recommendation for whoever's nominated to be considered their responsibilities. Review the punch list with HRC in the village, whoever this person is. Review items that have been completed to ensure the resident is satisfied and the village is satisfied. Review items that have not yet been completed but have a plan and timing in place to achieve completion. Review items that may have been deemed not required to meet the intent of the contract and therefore not completed with knowing. You guys may put something in a punch list and they go, we're not doing that. I think we would at least owe an answer to that. Review of change orders to the original intent of the contract caused by any reason, particularly due to the inability of the contractor to provide the service as identified in the contract. Review the quality of the work in general to document not yet identified items to help prevent premature deterioration of the newly paved road services. Participate in the final inspection required to determine, there's another legal term in all of this, it's called substantially complete. Somebody's going to have to make a determination that it's substantially complete so that the contractor gets paid. Ensure proper warranties are in place, and this person should have joint authority with Jamie, Bill. I guess I'm not sure. Bill controls the checkbook, so I'm sure that he needs approval from some group of people to write the checks. Those are some of the responsibilities I think this person should have. I don't know all the problems. I've walked most of the roads. I have not walked your road. I walk my road a lot. I live on Bingham Road. There are problems on Bingham Road. And we've walked it and talked about it. And maybe or maybe not it's a problem. But I don't know. And frankly, most of the things that have been identified today are easy to see. Some of these things you can't see. And at least I'm concerned about some of the quality of the workmanship that I think we should work through. And maybe working through it is rework, maybe working through it is warranties, I don't know. But I have concerns that are not, well, some of it's very evident. We got joint sealing all over the new paved surface road. Drive down Bingham Road. You got big blotches of, I thought they repaired the road after they paved it. But now I've learned that's different. So that's my motion. That's all the discussion that I have.
I guess I have a question. What's the process from a treasurer standpoint, from an office standpoint, to do the approval of closing those kinds of things? I guess what would normally happen? We haven't been through this, so how would this work?
I can explain it. So typically, the contractor will request payment. So they'll come and say, this is what we've done so far, or through a certain date. They'll send it to us, we'll review it, and say, well, our daily reports say, these are the quantities. So we go back and forth and make sure we agree on all the quantities. That has been done, and then we put together a recommendation for payment letter, send that into the village. The village then looks at that and says, okay, we agree with that, based on our recommendation, and that's how then it gets processed.
Because then Bill usually come here and say, because every month we approve the bills. And does that come, I mean, that's a really big bill that comes. Would it be on that list as something we would go through at that point? I guess, I mean, some of these things that you're thinking about are before that point, but I'm just saying from a final standpoint, is that how it would?
Well, most of the items are already things that have been approved with the bid tab. When you approved the contract to the contractor, they're just doing the work that you've already approved, nothing in addition to. There's a contract amount that they have. Anything over that contract, plus the contingency, you provide a little bit of contingency there for unforeseen type items. Anything above that, we can't even recommend payment for until we provide a change order that gets approved.
Yeah.
So you will see, when I go through the bills, the first initial payment that we made, and it is, what Brad's saying is absolutely correct. We get a letter from them that says, here's all the detail, here's what the recommended payment is, and here's a holdback. There's a certain percentage retainage that is held back. Once I get that, I review that with Jamie and the staff, and then upon approval, I cut the check, and then Lisa and Jamie, in this case, Lisa was not there, I signed it, and Jamie signed it, and we forwarded it on to the contractor, which cashed the check. We just received a second one, I think late today, this afternoon, that Ray had sent out, and we'll go through that process in addition to whatever is passed, that we have extra checks and balances on it. But that's typically what the process is currently.
And the retainage held is 5% of the contract amount. So, I mean, it's I forget what the contract, but I mean, it's, $75,000 or so. So it's a good chunk of change.
Does Jamie have a punch list?
Well, so
we are working on a punch list.
So
like project closeout list.
Yeah. So my follow-up question, based on Trustee Durrani's question, in a normal situation, ignoring for a second the motion Trustee McAlexander just made, how would you close out a project like this with the punch list with a community such as ours? Yes?
Yeah.
We would work with...
Meaning like things that are above and beyond whatever
the contractor, we'd work with village administration or municipal administration for that fact, from any for the city or township, on the punch list. We review it with them and all that. That's how we would go. Council typically does not get involved. Just this typical on how things are done. So that's how we would work through a punch list. I know administration has the residents' best interests in mind as well. So
we don't have a roads division.
Most don't. I mean, most municipalities I work with don't have an engineering department at all.
Okay.
So we're an extension of their staff, essentially.
All right, that helps understand.
So normally it's administrative staff, the contractor, and you guys are making sure that everything is done. And then just to reiterate, like, except for this one time, because I had a very unexpected death in the family, every other check, I think that ever's left the office, I've signed. So no check leaves the office without my signature.
Or sign off, if it's electronic.
Right, which is, yes, or if it's an electronic payment, I sign off
The
the bills
voucher.
as well.
Yep.
So that's why I was saying, that I would put my name on the table, because it only makes sense that I'm working so tightly with them, and I'm not going to sign off on a check if if we don't feel the project's done.
Well, I'm not going to cut a check until I measure twice and cut
Good count on that.
once, and then it's up to, I don't have the authority, I mean, I have the authority to sign, but I'm only one signer, and I typically don't want to do that. I typically want to have Lisa
I mean,
and
there's one part is the actual signing, but there's the, how do, as the punch lists get shorter, how do we ensure that things are getting closed out?
You know, I'd like to suggest too, it's a really good question, that this is a case where I think residents need to have representation, that we've seen examples, just 6 people that tried to voice a concern and no response. And I think it would be important, and I would think that Eric would be an excellent candidate to fill the role. I think his background in business and corporate and manufacturing and dealing with customers as well as with engineering, as well as with manufacturing, really equips him in particular. And he's very diplomatic in how he does things. So, and thorough, as you can tell. So I think it would be good maybe to get a vote and see where the rest of council feels about this.
Did you want to talk about the contract as well, or no?
Well, the one, Eric, if you would read the definition of a punch list again.
Sure.
The one item in there is, if you go through it real quick, that's going to be the difficult one.
Punch list is prepared at key milestones or near the end of construction projects that lists works that do not conform to contract drawings and specifications that the contractor
Right there.
must correct.
So that's the key term.
Yeah.
Is items that don't conform to the contract specifications. Some of these items conform to contract specifications. People might just not like the look of them, but they conform.
And there's a lot of things that don't conform, that may have been dealt with through field change orders, for instance. Like,
There might be.
like the ditch in our front yard.
That conforms to project requirements.
It doesn't conform to the drawings.
It doesn't, and there was a change order that was processed because we could not
That's what I'm saying.
complete the work. We could not
Yeah.
physically complete the work that was on the drawing.
Right.
Unforeseen conditions caused the change, which is completely
I
within
understand,
the
but if we're
contract
going to argue the
book.
language, I'm glad to argue it.
That's fine, I understand, it's within the contract book, when there's unforeseen
I thought you
conditions,
said there was
we
a
have the
change
right
order.
for a change order.
Yeah, but not for my
I've read you have the right for change.
Yeah.
What?
But again, I'm not sure I want to negotiate the language. I'm just trying to get the point
got it.
across that we're entering a stage where the punch list is now being developed. I'm assuming it's been developed because you've got a lot of punch list items already.
In process, correct,
Yeah.
underway.
And once that's approved, this village is going to make a final payment. And once the final payment's made, it's going to be very difficult to get things done after that point.
Again, we're holding a lot of retainage right
That's
now.
the final payment.
And the final payment is the release of retainage
That's
typically,
right.
yes. But we also gotta wait for final establishment of grass and things like that. Typically, a lot of those move into spring, because areas aren't
Well, that's
completely
good. It
restored.
gives us time to do a punch list.
Gives us time, but the biggest thing that I want to we need to discuss is
Yeah.
items that conform to contract requirements,
Yeah.
yet you may, whomever is in charge of this committee wants to see on the punch list and wants to see corrected. Is the village willing to pay extra for that?
Maybe.
Okay.
I don't think that's a deal breaker.
Yeah,
I think
maybe
that's a point of discussion.
And that's why I brought it up.
Yeah,
We're
thank you,
running
though.
under
Thank you
budget.
for bringing
I'm
that
not
to our
sure
attention.
And you have a contingency fund as well.
We are running under budget right now.
That's right.
That's a
So
good
that's
thing.
something
But
that,
this is phase 1.
this is phase one.
We're not trying to reach the budget. I mean, we have a much
Phase one.
bigger
I agree.
project.
Our goal is not to reach a budget. Our goal is to do the best
It's not my
possible
decision.
job
I'm not.
within the budget that we're all satisfied with when these guys leave.
We have a motion on the floor that Eric has read, and we have a second to the motion.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so that motion just establishes a representation,
Yeah.
but it doesn't name who.
No.
So we have to, first of all, establish
Right,
that motion
Right.
right.
for representation from the council. So I think
So
that's
there's a first
that's our
and a
next.
second. Are you done discussing?
We've got the first and the second, so we need to.
I do like it.
So all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay.
Any opposed? Me. I'm
And
not, I'm not opposed, I'm just opposed to the process.
And now we can put up for nomination who that representative from the council should be. and his willingness, I hope, is there.
I'm willing.
I will put up,
I'll put my name
I
on
will
it.
put up Eric McAlexander as the council representative for the continuation of the punch list and completion of the project to
Does that need a
coordinate.
second?
That needs a
Is there a
second.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? I don't have a problem with you doing it, as long as you're available all the time, because this is like,
No.
We talked about that. We talked-
Stop it. I work full time.
Yeah, we've talked about
I
it.
make myself available, as you know, pretty much at the drop of a hat, but I did not commit to be available at all times.
But we've talked about the construction process. and you
I understand it as well as you do, believe me.
Yep.
And when you need something, you text me, you email, you call me.
We'll make a note.
You send up
so
a
that, hey, we
smoke
need-
signal,
we
I don't
need to
care. I'll respond.
that's what I'm just saying, we have to be expedient, because
know.
it's
No, I
costing
mean,
money.
we had this conversation at the very
Yes,
beginning,
we
when we
did.
wanted to have a committee for the entire project, and that never evolved, but I'd like your expectations lists that you have for what to do.
Okay.
We kind of talked about that at the very beginning too.
I'll email it to
If
you.
you could, that'd be great.
I have a question. When they dug out the ditch, I asked them not to put any grass seed and put more dirt there, because we were planning on putting rocks there. And our plan, and we talked to the city, because I guess we need to get a license to put plastic and stones in the ditch.
Yeah, it's a right-of-way improvement, so you need a right-of-way permit to work in the bills right away.
They told me that they have to put the topsoil and the grass seed.
Yeah, because again, they need to get it, they need to get it restored, they're responsible for establishment. There's no guarantee that you're going to move quickly and do it. No, I'm not saying that you wouldn't, but there's no guarantee, so we gotta put it in just, if we leave it all soil and then we get a huge rain and wash out and all that dirt is then washes down and fill the culvert, and that's on them. Right, so that's the only reason. It's not that they didn't believe you, it's just that that's what they have to do. So.
Anything else? Thank you so much. for your
Thanks,
time.
Brad. Thanks, Bill.
Thanks, Brad.
Not too many bruises?
I'm okay.
Okay.
You can handle it.
He's a big guy. You're a big guy.
Next
This
is
is
trustee
probably
comments?
not the first time.
Treasurer's report?
Oh, I'm sorry, treasurer's report?
Yes.
Good try. You pushed
Sorry,
it.
sorry.
And that concludes my,
No checks are approved this month, Bill.
since we're having so much fun, we'll continue it down the path of the treasurer's report. Thank you again for this evening. The same three items appear on this month's treasurer's report. I'm going to just highlight some things to go through it. Usually I go through this motion for check disbursements for the general fund and the gas fund. I did add in line item because I always say it, but I just wanted to put it in there what the total disbursements of those two line items are, so that it's just easier and can be referenced. So for this month, this past month, from the dates of 7/29/25 through August 25th, today, 25, the general fund, we dispersed $471,022.35. That is a little bit more, and the reason why I wanted to point out is, if you noticed in the listing, there was a $250,005 charge or check that I dispersed to open up the new CD at 4.7% interest APY with the credit union that we approved on the last depositories. The reason for the $5 is credit unions typically have to put a $5 to get the membership. That's going to be refunded to us. But I just told Trustee McAlexander that I just signed, when I came back, the DocuSign that came across. So that's going to be established, and I think that's a great rate. I was going back and forth whether or not we split it half and half and do 6 months and then the other half a year. But knowing what I'm seeing with rates, I think that that we need to, yes, we need to secure that interest rate for a longest period of time. So that's the one reason why that line item was larger than what we typically see. For check disbursements for the same time period for gas and weight, that one was $479,168.77. I'll just speak to, other than Johnson Landscaping, the two large items were the first initial payment to Florence Cement Company for the first payment phase with the retainage that was held back based upon the letter that HRC sent to us. The second one was the 50% down payment for the street signs so that those can be continuing to be manufactured and set up so that they're ready to be installed. So those were the two large items that appeared there that typically don't come out of the gas and weight fund. So the total disbursements for both of those funds were $949,191.12. If there's any questions I can answer specifically about any line item, I'd be happy to do that. And the council obviously has the motion to approve the bills.
I make a motion to approve the bill payments for the month.
I second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
Next item is acceptance of the financial statements. In your packet, as is in every month, there is the first financial package for the period ending 7/31/25. Everything in the budget column matches up to the approved budget that we adopted. Everything else, obviously, that I've gone through and either journaled, made adjustments, and/or paid are reflective in that. So I will just leave that, or just ask the council if you guys have any questions regarding the financial statements as of 7/31/25.
The situation with corporations appealing their tax statement, can I have an update on that, please?
Yes, there is. Of them, there were 5 others that, since the last time we spoke, and I believe I mentioned it, that added and appealed to the Michigan Tax Tribunal. We've had one that was approved, and they did win. It was for the Bingham Center, as a matter of fact. It was a large one, and they actually paid the tax, came in, and it was on the old amount. So what I had to end up doing is refunding them $13,940 based upon what the order from the court was from the Municipal Tax Tribunal. The other ones are still pending. Again, I will get notified 2 ways. One, in this situation, every week on Fridays, they send out, Oakland County assessor and tax treasurer sends out reports that say, here are the adjustments. And they have to be processed by that following Monday. Once that happens, I don't do that. I don't have the authority to do that. Township does. So the treasurer, Kim at Township, she will call me and she called me in this case and said, I just processed it, look for it so that when the payment comes in, it may come in at the lower amount or it may come in the higher amount, and it came in at the higher amount. So that's one checkpoint. The other checkpoint's the weekly reports that come from Oakland County. The third checkpoint is I actually get an order that comes a little bit later from the state that says, here's exactly what the ruling was, and then I keep that with my documentation.
So there are 4 pending rulings.
There are, I'd have to go back and check. I think of the number, there was 2 that each claimant actually were awarded, and there was another 5, so 5, 6, 7, 8. I think there's a total of 8, if I'm not mistaken.
Wow.
Yep. And again, I'll keep that on hand, and if you guys would like to see it, I'd be more than happy to provide which ones they are and what was contested. Now, I do have to make the adjustment. I paid the check, I journaled it, but if you recall, especially the budget committee, the 105 that we put aside in one account, I'm going to have to journal and adjust it over to make sure that it's represented correctly.
Okay.
But in order to get the check back out, you'll see that.
Okay.
But in order to do that, I wanted to get the check out to them, so I sent them a letter describing what the issue was, their check number that they paid, and then what the delta was between what they paid and what they now have to pay was their part of their responsibility.
That's good.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay. Move on to investments. Investments are pretty straightforward. As you'll see in the general fund, we have $4,900,000 $138,749. On the gas and roadside accounts, that investment is $3,601,421. There were some ones that, like I said, expired and matured, I should say, not expired, matured. That went into our general fund, and that's what I use in order to reestablish the 250 that we just did. The other ones that we had a couple of other ones prior, those funds went in, and what I do is I keep them in the cash insured sweep account, earning the 4%, and I constantly look daily at where the rates are. Banks send me every morning where they're, or actually I shouldn't say every morning, once a week at the beginning of the week they send me the rate for what the rate is for that week. So I'm just going to look at it and make sure 4% is nothing to sneeze at. That's great until I see something that comes along that's like 4.7.
Yeah.
Right?
Love it. Yeah, you're not going to find it too
So
often.
that's where, the other thing I wanted to comment on, just to let council know, I met with, the actual Oakland County Treasurer came in and visited with me for a couple of hours this week, last week it was actually. And we talked about a number of things. We do have investments in the local government investment pool. When I originally met with them, they pleaded with me not to close it because at the time of COVID, they signed up and locked in at lower rates, and they just have to wait for that to mature. Those rates are now ticking up, right? They're at close to 4 now. And what we did, or actually 4.2, I think, 4.02. Yeah, 4.02.
Yeah.
So what we're going to do is I'm slowly looking at that, and if we can lock in with them, I may start moving some things. That's the reason why I didn't close out the accounts and we have small balances, just to be able to go in, like for instance, Flagstar's the same way. The reason I want to keep it open and just keep a small minimum balance there is so we don't have to go through all the churn of the paperwork to quickly act if there's something that is of interest to us. The last thing that I will mention, and we just received some pamphlets in the office today from Oakland County, and we're going to put it in one of the newsletters, is we talked a lot about issues where, and you might have seen advertisements, people will go and file quitclaim deeds, okay, and then they take out loans and mortgages against your property without you knowing. There is a form that you can sign up for Oakland County through Lisa Brown, who is she's the Register of Deeds, that they will monitor your account daily, and if there's any changes on that parcel number, they will send you an email that says there's activity in the parcel number, either quitclaim deed or something happened. So anyone here in the audience or listening, we'll get it into the newsletter, but anyone, I highly recommend that you do that just to make sure that it's a fail-safe, that if there's anything that happens,
This is really,
you're
really
notified by
important.
it.
I'm glad
Thank you.
Because you see advertisements all the time, they want to sell you something.
They want to sell you, and this is a free service.
Exactly.
Oakland County provides it to you at no charge. Right. It's just like LifeLock, and I'm not saying anything wrong, positive or negative, but yes, it costs money, and you'll hear that says, oh, we'll watch your title for you and notify.
For
Oakland
$100 a year, we'll do that.
Yes, yes, and Oakland County does it for free. And personally, if it goes through Oakland County Register of Deeds, they're the ones that see and have to file the paperwork and do the process in order to do any type of changes, in order to validate it, notarize it, and send it back out. So
that's good.
I'm just not cautioning, I'm just asking everyone, I think it's a great idea and that you should sign up. So we'll get that out in the newsletter, and like I said, we have flyers that are available here in the office.
Okay.
One other quick question. At times you talked about where you're comfortable regarding a time frame for investments, 3 months, 6 months, a year. Now with interest rates looking like they're going to start going down, I mean, are you more comfortable saying we lock in for a year, we lock in for 18 months?
It's always been, our investment policy doesn't state that it's got to be 12 months or less. We've talked in the past of whether or not brought up, we had one investment that went 18 months and it didn't go to the full 18 months. But I'm glad that you just asked that question, because what I'm looking at now, knowing, I don't have a crystal ball and I can't say it for 100%, but all the trends are saying it is. So what I might do is make a recommendation for council to bring up in September that says that you're fine with, under our investment policy, to go more than a year, because I've been keeping it to 12 months or less, but we might want to look at, and I'm not saying that, I wear both belt and suspenders, right? I'm very conservative. I want to make sure that we're not going out 36 months, right? I want to make sure maybe 18, maybe 24 at most, but I want to make sure that we have the money available and that we're not locking ourselves into something where all of a sudden interest rates increase and then we can't take advantage of it.
I agree, it's a two-edged sword, but right now it just seems reasonably predictable of where things are.
Yeah, and I actually did talk to Oakland County Treasurer Robert about it, because the same thing of when the local investment pool, right, for Oakland County, when COVID happened, that's exactly what they did. They went out and they extended, they said, let's grab the highest rate that we can for the longest period of time within our tolerance. And that's what they did. And it's absolutely a double-edged sword, because then when rates came back up, they were locked in at the lower rate. But you have to make, you've got to put a stake in the ground and say, all right, don't keep everything in one box. Right, and we don't keep, I make sure that we don't keep everything in one basket.
You got to spread out.
Spread it out across.
Okay, good. I like it.
Okay,
Any other questions? All right, thank you.
good job.
Oh, I'm sorry. One last item. In your packet is the,
We didn't get a motion.
I'm sorry, you're right.
Yeah.
Thank you.
We need a
Thank you, yeah.
motion to accept the financial statements for July of 2025.
I move we accept the financial statements of June? No, July.
July.
July 2025.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
Yeah, thank you for keeping me in my swim lane.
That's why I'm taking notes.
All right. He does that often, and I appreciate of it. The last item is HRC Phase 1 project, not to exceed balance. What you have in your packet is as the fees are as of August 31st, 2025. And you noticed, Brad commented on it, but the limit is $680,100 not to exceed. They've spent $365,236.67, so there's a balance of $314,863.33 that remain, and hopefully that will not all be used up as we start approaching the end of the project. But it's in there like you asked, so I'm going to continue to keep providing it to council
Thank you.
until we're done.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions?
No.
All right. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Trustee comments? You want to go around? Nothing?
No, I'm fine, thanks.
None.
Nope.
Good job tonight, guys.
Nothing from me. I need a motion to adjourn.
So move.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Meeting adjourned at 8:30.